All right, Mike. Let's do it with a lot of energy this time.
All right, I got this one. This is all me.
All right, I want to hear a big whoop whoop. Oh wait, you're gonna start?
No, I thought you were gonna start.
Oh, okay, sure. When you said it was all you, I was like, is Mike starting? All right.
No.
All
man.
right. Here we go. Hey, welcome to episode 28 of We Can't Codes, We
Whoop,
Criticize.
whoop.
Whoop whoop. This is a video game. I tried to just let it. Damn it. Okay. It does throw me off still. This is a weekly video game podcast between two friends where we share relatively biased opinions on our favorite games.
I want to call us friends.
Okay, enemies. Between two enemies. This is why we don't live in the same area anymore. This is why we have to do this podcast over several states, is because you put us in the same room. It's like, we get territorial.
Well, it gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the last time. That's something we can't talk about ever again.
Legal issues, the cops were called, yeah. Anyway, my name is Ben.
My name is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Michael.
I mean...
I keep it the same.
Alright. So, let's get into it, because I feel like this episode's going to be long, so let's just jump into it. Mike, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. You know my week. We've been playing the same game every single day together, so you know exactly how my week is. Was.
We played 2 or 3 times. There was a couple days where we didn't, though, but, yeah, so let's talk about Remnant from the Ashes, because we've been getting, kind of a bit more into that game, and last time we had first impressions of it.
We're balls deep in that game now, dude. We're balls deep.
So, do you feel like your impressions of it are going up or going down, staying the same? Because before...
It's going up, a lot up. It shot through the roof.
Okay.
Because
last time, I think you gave what was your review last time?
I think I gave it 7.5. Yeah, I gave it 7.5 out of 10. I think now the game's like a 9 out of 10 now. Especially since their last update. I mean, this update was fucking huge. And
what did they add into it?
Dude, they buffed, nerfed, changed everything. So, like, they buffed some weapons, they nerfed some weapons. Like, they nerfed our favorite weapon, the laser gun. Not to oblivion, but to make it equal with other weapons. And what I love about every single thing they changed in this game, they already had comments of why they did it. And, they said, like, oh, we nerfed the laser gun just because it was the gun to use, so everyone was just only using it, and we couldn't blame them. So they just nerfed it down a bit, so it was on par with everything else. That gun though still is fantastic. I still love it. It's still my favorite. I think they also buffed my submachine gun I now use in that game too now, Ben, because I feel like it's doing even more damage. I said, yeah, the fire one. The list is endless of what they changed. They changed enemy spawn rates too. So you remember that when I joined you randomly one time and you were in that toxic zone with all the floating skulls for when that was the first time I saw those enemies and stuff?
Yeah.
So they made it so less enemies spawned in those areas on you. So there wasn't as many. Because they realized we realized that there was too many enemies flooding you at once. And I remember watching you playing it by yourself and there was 100 skulls that kept on coming at you nonstop. Well, they fixed it, so now it's and I actually went through that myself, and I thought I was going to get my shit pushed in. But, I remember reading the update, and yeah, they totally balanced that level out completely, so it was much, much more doable and more fair when I went through it. It was still challenging. They changed armor sets, they changed enemies' damage, their path findings too, actually. I mean, they actually fixed some of their path findings, so they're actually better at chasing you and stuff, too. It's insane. And just the amount of details they spent just showing you in their notes what they changed and why, it was just impressive alone. And given the fact, too, that the game is still fucking great. I've also, switched my weapon up to a lighter weapon, and, the combat system is way better, too.
Mike, I want to ask you, how many, can you pull up Steam right now and tell me how many hours you've put into the game in the last week?
Oof, okay, let's see. Installed. Ashes, 11 hours.
11. Okay, yeah, I'm the same. 11. So you and I are on par.
Oh, nice.
Here.
Sweet.
So we've played about 3 or 4 times now. And so you're saying the game is like a 9 out of 10, huh?
Yeah, it's like the melee combat's still not the best. I think well, once again, I really want them to have the ability to dodge roll in mid swing or to break out of your swings.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, there's just so much enjoyment because even when we play, like, even though I have to go like, all right, so if people don't know this, if you join someone's game, you're working their progression in their game, not your own in the storyline. You still keep all the equipment you get, but once you start playing by yourself, you only progress the story of your game when you host or when you play by yourself. So usually I play with Ben. Ben's further than I am, and then I play sometimes by myself, or Ben joins my game, and then we have to retrack what we did. But since the game is randomizes the maps and randomizes the enemies and randomizes the dungeons you run into, it's like a whole different experience every time, and you still have to, like, you still search through everything. So even though I've been through an area before, I'm still excited to look for everything and look around every corner for items. Because I know, like, well, there's going to be some more stuff for me in here, and it's going to be totally different. So I don't know what I'm going to get, what I'm going to find, and who I'm going to fight.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think
just
there's
so
only
much
been one
fun.
instance of a monster that I've seen in my run and in your run, but every other
So-
monster that we've come across has always been generally different.
I do apologize for the people who are listening. It's gonna be a really basic description. I did run to one similar boss without you, and that was the one where it's a giant dude and he slams his hand down and he spins and knocks you in the air and spins the ground under you. Do you remember that boss?
Oh, yeah, the one that's
Yeah.
not on the map. He's kind of like hanging on the side.
Yeah, so I fought him again, and he actually, since like he was a pretty easy boss, so I was like, okay, thank God, because man, some of these bosses I just cannot think fighting without you, and it just I was so happy actually when it was kind of fun. I was like, oh, thank God it's you. I don't have to worry about just dealing with some like crazy ass boss, and so I
Yeah,
beat
I feel
him.
the same way. There's some
And
weird, like, to have aggro from these bosses and have aggro from all the, like, minions that are spawned in along with them, that seems like it would be way too much to handle. I think you need at
Oh,
least
yeah.
2 people.
I totally agree. And when you defeat a boss you fought before, you just get experience, and then that's it. You only get experience for them. You don't get any like bonus traits because once you get the trait from being that one boss, you just get the quest item that you're supposed to be getting for the storyline and the experience then.
Do you get the crafting
people-
material?
No, you don't get the crafting material again either, which is kind of sad. Which means that it's kind of like, why not just give me the gun if I can't reuse a crafting material again, the specific crafting material? You feel what I'm saying? Which I think is kind of like one of its downfalls a bit, which keeps it from being a perfect game. Is like, I wish I got something to craft with for defeating this boss besides just experience. So like
Yeah.
to unlock more of my trait.
I was actually going to say that I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy that your impression of the game has improved. Mine's probably stayed pretty consistent. I was hoping that by this time, after we've put a couple more hours into it, that we would be seeing like a lot more like bountiful drops coming in, or like some more interesting weapons. But you and
Yeah.
I think we've only seen 2 different sets of armor. There's like the bone armor, and then there's the hunter armor that both of us are using.
Oh, I just came across another armor too during my own playthrough. So
Okay.
like I don't know if you remember this, Ben. Do you remember those random rods we were collecting?
Yeah.
So yeah, those were key at the end of a random dungeon. That if you have 3 of them, you can unlock these doors at the end of the dungeon, which just opens up this basically
Well, I've
chambers
seen
that
this.
are checking like chests, and so in there is actually a set of armor. So I got additional armor. Luckily, I had all 3 rods with me. So
Oh,
at the end of this
okay.
dungeon, I was able to unlock the 3 doors at the end and get a full set of armor, which is it's an armor that it's a very interesting one too. It gives you increased melee damage, and then its special effect is that if you perfectly dodge an attack, you gain 300% in attack speed for a short amount of time.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I really like my starting armor because it's so heavily armored, and they just buffed it to where I do like, instead of like the max being 15% of extra damage. It's now 25% damage, and they increased the range from 2.5 meters to 5 meters. So I'm like, damn, and I just do so much damage with it. It's ridiculous. I've also found like more rings too when I was doing my playthrough. Like I found a ring that generates health, but it's like 0.8. And then I found another ring that gives me health back every single time I do damage with melee. So I'm like, okay. So it's been pretty cool to see all this stuff because of how versatile these items, these trinkets and rings are. Which is why I boosted up my score. Because also, what boosted up is that I was watching I only watched a short bit of it because someone was talking about this game and saying how good it was on YouTube. And I stopped like pretty much right away because like he was only showing parts I've been to, but I didn't really want anything spoiled to me. So, but he said that people were saying that it's like Warframe and Dark Souls. And that's when it came to me, like, yeah, it is pretty much almost like Warframe. And Warframe is, I fucking love Warframe. And I think it's a little bit of a lesser version because Warframe just nails the whole looting system because there's a lot more things and items to loot from. And it's much more easier to know where do you need to go for these items. And, like, the things that you loot is more versatile, too. Because in Remnant from the Ashes, a single boss item only unlocks one certain thing. While in Warframe, that single thing can unlock many things.
Yeah.
But what Remnant from the Ashes beats it in is that it's not a free-to-play game. So everything that you do is instant. There's no time. There's no waiting at all. You know, you can keep on doing everything. If you want to build something, it's built instantly. Because, you know, like Warframe, since it's a free-to-play game, there are barriers put in there to make you have to pay for some things. Like, if you build something, there's a build period where it'll take a full actual day, you know, for it to be built and stuff. If you want to build, like, some weapons, which is annoying, but makes sense. And, like, some materials to get is hard, but, I mean, since the game is fun, it's worth it. But there's also, like, limitations of how many characters you can have in the game, unless you buy more slots.
Yeah, I can't say I know much about Warframe, I guess, but...
it's
anyway,
like Remnant of the Ashes. Yeah, no, it's like... And it's another reason why I bumped even higher, because I get to play basically Warframe, but with an actual friend, because no one I know actually plays Warframe. So it's actually cool to be able to play something like it, but and it's also cool too because, you know, in Warframe you're fucking space ninja, you're whipping around, jumping from walls, wall running, all that stuff, and doing stealthy stuff. In this one, you're kind of just like a person just hulking through, just like bleeding through enemies, you know, just trying to get through the next point to the next point, where you're just more human. Unlike in Warframe, you're basically like Doom, you know, Doom guy, just killing everything in front of you. Nothing's really a threat to you. It's just like how many you can, like, they throw at you to stop at you. When Remnant from the Ashes is like, all right, be clever, be smart. It's like Dark Souls. So it's a really cool mix for me. So I'm going to stop there, but that's why it's really bumped up for me, though, points wise.
Yeah, well, I was going to get into my 2 cents here. So we're kind of getting into the mid game, as Mike was saying, and if I was going to give, like, a pros and cons list, I would say pros would be, I love the dungeons and the randomization. I think that the puzzles are genuinely fun where, you know, you're not stuck on a puzzle, but you go into a room, you're like, oh, what do you have to do? And you look around, you're like, oh, okay, you press this. Like, it's not hard, but it does break up the game a little bit. That's good. There's one puzzle where to get some armor, I had to, like, step on these tiles on the ground in a certain order, and, like, that was fine. Once again, it's not puzzles that actually have you scratching your brain. It's just, like, it breaks up the gameplay a little bit, which is completely fine with me.
Like, one cool dungeon, just to add on to that, was, like, we had to... Once we started the dungeon, we were constantly losing health.
This was a really cool dungeon. Yeah.
And you were always losing health, but if you killed enemies, you got a huge amount of health back. So there's this whole thing about keep on running, but stop to kill enemies to keep your health going to get you to the end of the dungeon.
Yeah, basically you were sacrificing your stamina to run rather than you would sacrifice it usually to dodge and, like, play it safe. So by the time that you ran up to the next enemy, you had really low health and you couldn't dodge because your stamina was low. So that was that was a really cool trade-off. Sorry to get back to it. The pros. I like the dungeons. I like the challenge. I like they're small puzzles, but I like the puzzles. Basically, anything that has you outside, exploring or killing, I like that. That is a lot of the core gameplay. So that is really good. The things that I don't like about the game are, as I was saying, a lot of the things with like the team building or like if you're warping to town or something. Like I don't like being out of combat because it is a lot of waiting for one person to get done with something or something else. The other thing I don't like is, and this is probably just my fault, is that I was expecting there to be a bit more loot. And I don't need it to be exactly like Diablo where it's just, constantly loot all the time. But, I mean, we're talking 11 hours now, which, I mean, you could play Portal twice in that amount of time or 3 times or something. And we have found 2 or 3 sets of armor. Like, that's not really a lot. I'd love it if there were at least like 6 sets or something.
Because
if we had a full group of guys, I would want everyone to have separate sets basically to make it feel like a cohesive group rather than just everyone wears the same powerful shit.
Which is nice, because so far you and me are wearing 2 different things, which I think is awesome, by the way. And both of our set that we're wearing is totally viable. And we're both using different weapons, too, in some cases, besides the laser rifle.
Officially now we're using 2 different sets of armor, but last when I played with you, we were using the same Slayer or Hunter set or whatever.
I changed out of that right away. I changed out of that armor set so fast.
Okay.
I went back to my scrapyard one.
Regardless, I'm going to say that, once again, the same thing that I said for my first impressions is it feels like they can improve this game just with patches. I would just like to see more of the same. They don't have anything that's really game-breaking that they would need to, like, omit. It basically just keep adding on. And from this update that Mike has been talking about, it makes me optimistic. And as a final note...
It took me 15 minutes to download that update.
So,
it was a big update. Yeah. And I'm working on, like, fiber AirNet. It took me that long to get it going.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say just within the first 2 weeks here that it's been out, definitely has had a much stronger impression on me than, like, the first 2 weeks that Diablo 3 was out. So, like, that's easy. It feels like the game is there. It's just, I think that there is a lot of meandering. In between all the fun parts, there is a lot of, like, okay, like another issue I have, aside from the towns where it feels like there is a lot of meandering, is the map as well. The map is purposefully really confusing, and it doesn't have a really smart or clever way to tell you you've been here or you've been there. And if you hit M to look at the map, you can't scroll around and see if there's any places like...
Yeah, that's why I wish they added, is the ability to scroll closer to the map and look at things.
Yeah, because you'd be able to see where the map fades away, and you'd be like, oh, obviously I haven't been there. But if you're doing backtracking and all the map around you is filled out, then you don't know which direction to go. So that's another thing that I find frustrating. But I would probably still rate the game about... I'd bump it up to a 7, because we have played a lot of really interesting bosses, and since the last time we played, we have gotten some good weapons, but I still am looking for a bit more variety. Now, for anyone who doesn't listen to our normal reviews, a 7 is still above average. A 5 is basically, it met expectations. It came in here saying it was going to do this, and it accomplished that. Like, a 5 is like the cusp of you made a game and you held your promises. So a 7 is still 2 points above that. I'm a pretty harsh critic in comparison to, like, Game Informer or IGN.
I think I'm going to bounce mine back down to 8 myself.
Okay.
Just because of the loot. Just knowing that if you defeat a boss you defeated already, you don't get anything out of it but experience, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that you would tell me that, like, the material that I got from one monster and the material I got from another monster, instead of crafting 2 individual weapons, I can combine those to make, like, one ultra powerful weapon. Like, that is where I think this game would be really cool, is once you start playing late game and you're facing these monsters several times, then you've got, like, 4 rare crafting materials, and then you can take those and then you can just make, like, some fucking bazooka or something awesome. That would be
Yeah,
cool
that'd
to
be.
me.
See, the thing is, like, with the update they put in and how much they changed, and it seems like they are listening and they care. And what's beautiful about this game is that they can add so many new things to it without being any issues. They can just make new bosses as much as they want. They can make new enemies and easily just throw them in there. Because all you gotta do is just refresh your campaign. If you're in the middle of a campaign, you want to see these new things right away. And it literally has no effect on your character. Which if people don't, and that's something I wanted to say to people too, is that, you know, which the thing is awesome, is like after you beat the game, you can just refresh the campaign or do it in the middle of it, and you keep everything you got in that campaign. You literally keep all your progression, all your items, all your scraps, everything, which I think is just like the coolest thing, because I don't know, that's just an awesome thing to me. And like you replay the campaign, but the game is totally different every single time you play it, which is awesome. But it's like you said though, man, just I want more loot too. Not just like not even like more equipment, just more stuff to like components to upgrade my stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have to have any special abilities or anything.
Yeah.
I just want to look a bit different. I think that there's more than enough runes and skills in the game. Like the fact that, you know, I can summon my cursed flying acid-spitting skulls and you can cast your turrets. Like, I think that there's enough variety in runes in the first 2 weeks here. I hope that they keep adding more, but for right now, it's fine. I just
totally
think
is.
I just think the game suffers a bit from, like, I remember in Destiny, one of my biggest concerns is you look at a character and you're like, who is this character? Is that a mage, a hunter, a rogue, a
Destiny
warrior?
was bullshit. It's like, okay, this person I don't know why.
But I mean, in comparison, you know, Borderlands, Diablo, Vermintide, like these games, you can look at another character and say, oh, that guy is, you know, a dwarf class, or he's a tank, or a healer, or something. Like, it's very obvious. And right now, I'd say Remnant probably is on the more difficult to... it's more ambiguous with how a character looks and what he actually does. And I hope that if they keep adding armor, that it is a bit more like... that it does pop a bit more, or it is a bit more like flamboyant, where it shows off like, oh, it's huge hulking iron, you know, chest piece, that guy is a tank, or, you know, it's cloth armor, that guy is
I feel like
sniper.
so far I think it does that pretty good, because like my armor is meant to be close combat, and my guy's like has a full welding mask on, a fucking old mining metal helmet with grates on, like welded onto it, like a big bolty, while your character is wearing cloth and stuff and is like has bonus effects for just like critical hits and stuff. I kind of have to disagree with you on that. I think that they're doing a pretty good job with the looks of the things, and I disagree with you on that one. I think they're doing a really good job, also because it fits the style of the world they've made, and that's what I appreciate about it too, is that it does look like all the stuff they put in there does match the world. But I can see from your point of view though that like you want to be more flair to it, some more, and I can understand that. To me, I kind of do like it, but I do wish that we got it more stuff a little bit more frequently. Just like 11 hours, and I've only earned 2 sets of armor, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that they're on the right. I think they're on the right path, and this is the first mover's benefit and the first mover's disadvantage is. When you're the first one to play a game, you're going to find all the bugs and imperfections. If you wait, but you get to play it first. If you wait for like the Game of the Year edition a year later, you know, you wait all that time, but they've fixed the bugs, they've patched it, they've updated it, they've added more content. So
what do you think about the bugs in this
take.
one? I don't think I've only seen like a bug happen 2 times with me, and that's like when an enemy is maybe sometimes in the ground, like half of his body's underground. But I can still shoot him, and usually he just pops back out though immediately. But that's been the only bug I've seen so far with myself. Oh, and then there is that random bug that does come up when you go back to the town, and you can't talk to the shopkeeper people, but you can easily just leave and come back, and then it fixes it. But those are the only bugs I've seen, and the shopkeeper only has happened once to me so far.
Yeah. I'm on the same page where those are the only ones that I've seen, I think, but there are also the things
that's a pretty big deal for me though. I don't mean to cut you out, because like every game that's come out lately is usually just riddled with bugs and just isn't working. Well, mostly that's AAA games, and I would you call this a AAA game?
No, it's a double A.
Double A?
Because
I feel
it's
like
not $60. It's got a big name publisher behind it, but it's not like Activision. It's not like Blizzard. I mean, I guess technically the same parent
honestly,
company.
I'd feel like this is more of like a AAA game. I know that's a double A price and all that stuff, but for the quality of I've gotten from this game right off the bat, it's just insane. I'm surprised it's a $4 game because there's so much in there already, and I know that there's going to be so much more coming too as well. I mean, I don't know that, but it's one of those things. I just feel like there's going to be even more added to this game to keep it going, and I just really hope more and more people realize how good this game is and hop on it. Because, like you, I want this game to succeed. I want this game to go far. I want this to be the next Diablo for me. Because this game is just so fucking good. I love this game. Every time, like, I've been playing Resident Evil 7, I don't even think about touching Resident Evil 7. I'm just thinking about playing Remnant from the Ashes. Like, man, what's this cool next thing I'm going to see? What are these cool trinkets I'm going to find?
Well,
and
okay,
like,
so to go along with that, do you know the developers are Gunfire Games? Are you familiar with the games that they've made before?
No, none at all.
They've made the Darksiders series.
Oh, wow. They made the Darksiders series? Did they make all of them or just the first one? Wow, I'm shocked.
So, at least on Steam right now, it's showing Darksiders 3. I'll have to check if they made the other ones.
Because I could have switched hands and stuff.
Let me check. But, anyway, like, I guess you could see it either way if that is a double A or a triple A title, because those games are pretty big. But yeah, I'd say it's, comfortably in that area. Okay, yeah, it looks like, so they have Darksiders 3, Darksiders 2. From my impression is that they've been a part of that series for the most part.
Let's see.
So I was actually going to juxtapose Remnant from the Ashes from another game that I've been playing this week. And this is interesting to me because on one hand, Remnant from the Ashes is really fun with you, but at the same time I do feel like I get burned out from Remnant a lot faster than I do with this other game. For example, I've played Remnant for about 4 days, and I put about 11 hours into it. But then this other game I've played for only 2 days, or like a day and a half, including today, and it's around like dinner time, and I'm probably going to play it more afterwards, and I've put an equal amount of time into it. So this second game is Slay the Spire, and this game is
I saw you've been playing that a lot.
Right. So yesterday I put a ton of time into it, probably like 8 hours or some ridiculous amount of time. But so I was just going to compare the two with not necessarily that the games are comparable, but just how I'm playing them. So Remnant from the Ashes is really fun, but I think that I get burned out really quickly. If it takes a while for us to beat a boss, or if we're kind of like replaying the area, or if we have a bad death, then it's like, okay, enough, I'm done. In comparison, though, Slay the Spire, I just kind of keep going. Like, the game is really addictive where it just pushes you to keep playing, and the way that the game works is you start at the bottom and you kind of face enemies up, until you get to this, like, it's like 3 tiers. And the first tier, there's a boss. Second tier, there's a boss. Third tier, there's the final boss. So basically the way that the game works is you just keep going once you start a character. And you can stop and you can save it and quit, but you don't really get that impression. You don't really want to do that. You just want to keep playing this run out. And I guess while I've been playing Slay the Spire, it's made me kind of reassess how I feel about Remnant, because I do like Remnant a lot, but at the same time, I feel when I'm done playing Remnant with you, Mike, like I am basically done for the day. It's like we've had a really shitty last couple chances at a boss, or like we've upgraded our gear, and the game does right now feel very repetitive. Remnant is, you fight a boss, you go back to town, you upgrade, you go back out, and I'm not going to pretend like Slay the Spire is not repetitive either. All it is combat, whatever, same thing. But the games are good for two separate reasons. But I would probably say that I get burnt out from Remnant a lot faster than I get burnt out from Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire, I have this tendency to keep playing, but Remnant, I'll probably play it at 2 or 3 hour intervals. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but I know exactly why you get more burned out is because in Remnant from Ashes, you always have to be on your toes. You have to watch out what's going to be around the corner. You always have to watch out for just enemies swinging at you. With Slayer, with the other game though, it's a turn-based game. There is no rush. You can take as much time as you want. And
that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean that's why you get burned out at the end. I mean, I get burned out too at the end too, but I love that feeling because it was fucking hard. It wasn't easy. We struggled and we conquered. Right. And even though it's repetitive in some cases, to me though it's fun because Warframe for me is repetitive. I go to the same place, get the same materials. Go do it again, get more of that same materials, do it again just to get a single item. But it's fun doing it. And even though that From the Ashes is technically repetitive, I know that I'm gaining something in the end, and it's fun because you're also there, which is additional 100 points that you do with a good friend. And it just, I don't know, it's and it's hard, and I like that. I mean, yeah, I get frustrated, but in the end, I like that frustration because I feel like it's fair sometimes. Sure, there are sometimes where it's not fair, but when you come out of those moments that you get totally fucked over and you come up on top, it feels good. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm tired, but I mean, there's a lot of strategy in that game. You have to be on your toes 24/7 when you're going through a dungeon because you can't stop until you get to the next checkpoint. Because if you get down, you start from the beginning, you have to work your way all the way back through it. And then, as we were talking about the first time, we said there really is no punishment in the game for dying, but that's the punishment. You have to do this again. You got to fight with these mini bosses again to get to here, and it's
I don't want to make it sound. That. I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying anything negative about.
Oh, I know. I know.
I'm
not saying you're. And I'm just saying that's why you're feeling you're tired. Is because there's much more. You have to be much more in the game, much more involved in the game.
I agree with you.
Because it's a turn-based game, so then you can just easily. It's much easier. But you still, I mean, I've seen this gameplay of this game a lot. And I don't usually play many rogue games. I'm very hesitant to play rogue games, so that's why I haven't really picked this up. But I think it's a great mechanic and all that stuff, and it's a great leisure game. Because it's one of the things, I think I know why you like it so much too, because it's also a card game, too. Because if people didn't know this, is that to do attacks, you have you have a hand of cards for moves to do. And you pull it from your deck and stuff. And then each move costs mana points. And you have a certain amount of mana points every single time it's your round and stuff. And
yeah,
so,
I can go over the... I mean, if you haven't played it, I can go over the description. But basically, I agree with everything that you said. To reiterate, I think both the games are good. If I was going to rate Slay the Spire, I would probably give it a 7 as well. That sounds about right, actually.
I would agree.
But yeah, I think that Mike is completely hitting the nail on the head there, where he's saying, Remnant, you're just always plugged in when you're playing that game. Slay the Spire, the last time I was playing it, I had Hulu open, I was watching King of the Hill, and some other stuff. Basically, I was able to play longer, but I was less into it. So, Mike, that is a really good point.
Yeah, and I didn't mean I don't want to make it sound like I was attacking you. I was just coming to I was just trying to explain why you the difference of the feelings that you're getting from the games and all that.
So to go over Slay the Spire, I love to give descriptions in case this is a game that might pique any listeners' interests. First and foremost, I should say the reason I got this game is because it is on the Humble Monthly for $12. But if you subscribed to something in the past, you should have gotten an email that knocks it only down to $9. But so anyway, if this game sounds interesting, be sure to pick it up there because that's where it's really cheap. But this is a deck building game, as Mike was saying, and you can pick from you can unlock 3 different characters, and one guy just does straight brute force damage, and he heals a bit more, so he can take a hit. The other guy does a lot of damage over time, poison damage, and he's really cool, but he's hard as nails to play. And then the other guy does a ton of damage, but you can't direct the damage. So it's kind of like you're dealing damage to everything all at once, but you... Like, sometimes it's important to kill certain enemies first, but with him you can never really dictate who takes the damage. It's really cool. So, anyway, the game is really fun. It's got some replayability. I wish that there was a bit more variety with, like, the loadout of your cards, but otherwise it's really great. And it's also hard as nails, too. It takes a while to figure out the right strat for the game. The same way that Remnant works, too. You know, you have to figure out, like, almost in the same sense, actually, prioritize dodging. And Slay the Spire is the same. You want to take as little damage as possible, even if it means sacrificing some time to dodge and stay out of the way. Taking that one hit is so much worse than not being able to empty a couple more clips into the enemy. You know, playing that one defensive card is so much more important than, you know, potentially killing one out of, like, the 3 enemies you're facing in Slay the Spire. So they're both very much, like, defensive first kind of games I've experienced in my playthroughs.
Which I like. Like, I found that those are the games I'm kind of more going towards, instead of games that are always about constantly just attacking and attacking and attacking. Because it just adds a whole new gameplay that I usually don't play as much anymore. And they're just so... It's so engaging. It's so much fun to think and just like, all right, instead of thinking how much damage I can do right now, it's like, how can I avoid not taking damage? That's pretty much the main goal of both games, like you just said. And it's a really just fun way to play a game, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so that was my week. I basically just played Remnant from the Ashes and Slay the Spire. I kind of missed out on Divinity 2 this week. The guy that I play with, we just couldn't find a matching time. And then also, I didn't play Fallout 4, but I did get a chance to look at how far I am in the game. And last week I mentioned that I've made it onto the DLC officially, but I've put 54 hours into that game now. Like, that is impressive. I was surprised.
Just right? Wait, and you never played the game before?
I played it on PS4, but anyway, I'm just surprised
one
playthrough.
So this one playthrough, you've already done 54 hours in it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So,
good game.
It's funny because I've been kind of, like, shitting on it a lot. Just kind of,
I
saying I'm going to wait.
Too.
Yeah. But, like, you know, waiting for the DLC. And after this, like, 50-hour mark, finally I'm in the DLC. Like, I look back and I'm debating, like, should I have really wasted that much time? But I think it'll be worth it.
Did you have fun in that? Well, did you have fun during that 54 hours?
Yeah, I would probably like a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's worth it. I don't like how people are always saying, like, you know, it just makes me sad when people say that stuff. And it's like, oh, I played this game for this many times. Well, that's like a lot of wasted time. But that was like leisure time. That's like, for me, I find like playing games meditating. You don't think about anything else. You just think about the game. So it's like, even though I've spent sometimes more time playing game than I have like hanging out with other people, that was just my time of just focusing on one thing, letting go of the world, and just like having fun with something and not worrying about anything else. So if you're one of those people that, you know, worry about if you're playing too much, well, one, if you're gonna lose a job, or, you know, you're gonna, like, you know, run out of money or die from unhealthy lifestyle, then you should start worrying about that. But if you got everything under control, don't ever worry about that, because that's your mental time.
There's moderation with everything. I mean, it's like,
I love
when
sleeping.
You
say too much, yeah,
and then when you say get out of your bed.
You can say too much. You can do too much of anything, but
yeah.
I think, except for video games, you can never play too many video games. There's not enough time in the day to play games.
You can never smoke too much crack either. Those are the two things.
No, that's true. It's just don't have enough money though for all the crack you can do, dude.
Mm-hmm.
If I had $1 million, it'd just be, I'll go to crack, so I can actually finally maybe, you know, get a high off of it for just once in my life. It's been too long, Ben. I mean, it's like I spend like 2 paychecks, and I just gets me enough to get a buzz nowadays. It's really sad. That's why I just scratch offs. I'm hoping
this is
for
why
that.
you moved away, so that I wouldn't start noticing like your teeth falling out and everything.
Yeah, it's that's why we don't Skype when we do these things. You just don't want to see what I look like right now.
You're looking like old Pappy over there. I got some dentures or something.
Yeah, I just sometimes they pop out. Got to make sure you get the right denture glue.
To finish the point with Fallout 4, though, my only point I was going to say is that I think the game is going to improve as I play the DLC, but I would probably only rate it like a 6.5 or a 7 right now, just because I've done all this shit before. And it's fun to make a new character and spec them different ways. I tried to focus a little bit more on speech, but basically, like,
It does nothing.
I played it.
In
I played
Fallout
it like
4, speech does nothing.
No, I like speech. It's fun, but I played it 4 or 5 years ago, so I think I would enjoy the game more than usual. A lot of people actually hated Fallout 4, and I don't think it's the best game ever, but I think that it's still a Bethesda game where you can go around and play the game how you want. So
Do you want to tell you something funny about Fallout 4 and stuff? So, I am like most people. I did not like the direction they went with Fallout 4. I thought that was a very bad decision for them to simplify the dialogue. And I thought to myself, well, the only way they can get worse from this is getting rid of the dialogue completely. And there's no way they're going to be able to do that. So it can only go up from here. And the next game that came out did not have any NPCs at all. And I was like, oh, they did go lower than that. They did go to no talking at all, with making speech totally useless. I'm like, wow. I'm like, don't know if I'm like mad or just shocked or just even impressed.
Just impressed, yeah. They took the worst aspect of speech, being when the character is when whoever you're talking to is the one that's doing all the talking, and then they just had exclusively that for like 5-10 minutes at a time now.
Yeah, and I was just dumbfounded. I was like, wow. I mean, okay. And that's why I never picked up Fallout 76. Like, I did not want multiplayer in my game. I wanted better dialogue options, like the ability to actually do things without killing people. I thought that would have been like, because in their other Fallout games, like, they were heavily dialogue based until like a point, like, if your character was so stupid, he wouldn't be able to actually like to have like, he couldn't basically even speak to most people because he was so fucking stupid. And I was hoping they'd go back to that, and I was like, fuck, you just went even as far as you could.
I just let my fists do the talking, Mike.
Basically, I was like, I'm just gonna be killing people today.
Give me everything you've got, or else I'm going to murder you.
I just thought that was the funniest thing, though, when I found out with Fallout 76, he was like, and there's no NPCs. And I was like, well, I'm not picking up this game then. And then they bring them back. I'm like, I'm still not gonna bother with it. You know, there's Wasteland 3 that's coming out, and I'm actually really excited for that, because going back to the roots of Fallout and like of what Fallout was. So I'm actually gonna pick up Wasteland because that seems like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right.
But yeah, it's just a funny little story though, and I still laugh every single time I think about that. When I had that moment of thought when I was playing Fallout 4, and I was like, well, I mean, at least they'll know their mistake and just fix it in the next one. And it's like they didn't learn from their mistakes. They made it worse. They made it way worse.
I need to go back.
Yeah, it was. I know probably people in the video game world are probably sick and tired of hearing about Fallout 76, and I'm sorry if you like the game, like really like it, but for me, even like I hate it when there's like people that are like super fans, like, oh, why'd you change this? It was great before, but you just don't know your audience at all when you just do that point. You realize that, I don't know, I'm just ranting again.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's so sad. Great opportunities thrown out the window.
Mike, did you see any movies this week?
You know, I was trying to think of that while you were talking about Fallout 4, and no, I did not. I didn't watch any television either, I think I've just been basically playing Remnant from the Ashes and then some YouTube channels, and that's it. Just my usual, like, Let's Plays. What about you?
I didn't see any movies, but I do know that, you know, this is the end of August, the beginning of September, so we've only got 1 month until October comes around, and I might get a head start on some scary movies.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for October, especially since my girlfriend, she loves horror movies and stuff, like I do. I forgot to talk about last week. We actually just watched an old horror movie. Let me see if I still have the name. It's called. I don't want to mess it up. I think it was. Where is it? Here we go. Let's listen to papers. Yeah, Prophecy. It was made in 1979, and was really. It was not that bad actually, surprisingly, especially after because me and my girlfriend we love going through Amazon Prime and just going through the horror section of their videos they have and just watching the trailers for all these random movies that you get for free with Prime. And Ben, these movies are just awful. Like, I'm going to have to make a list of these and show them to you, and we should maybe talk about some of these trailers on the podcast. And
Okay.
it's the absolute worst stuff. And we just came across this one movie called The Prophecy. It didn't show you anything in the movie. It just showed you this weird creature that's like in an embryo, and it said like it was man-made, and it's a creature that just is thirst for blood. And there's just some like sound effects in the back, and we're just like, well, let's just give this a watch. We're like, all right. And it turned out to be pretty good. Do you remember the movie The Thing, the original one?
Yeah.
Had a lot of actors from that movie in there. And I think the guy who did the monster designs, I think also had some help with the creatures in this movie as well. Now, given it was not as nearly as good as quality as that movie, but it was still pretty good. And
Okay.
and if you like old movies, The Privacy I think is definitely a movie for people to watch. We were very actually happy with the movie. We watched it all the way through, and we were interested. It wasn't scary. It was actually well, man. I forgot there's this one really funny scene when this kid dies. And it just
Spoilers. Also weird.
yeah. I don't want to ruin it. I think it's something that you just after saying that, it just you have to watch this movie. It's really good, and it's also just I think it's aged pretty well too, to be honest. And I just really overall enjoyed it. I don't want to give anything away of it. In fact, I think it's just something. If you have Amazon Prime, or if you ever for some reason find it, and it's just called Prophecy, just give it a go. Give it a watch. I loved it. I think the acting was actually pretty good too, by the way.
Okay.
And which is sad because a lot of the now horror movies that are on Prime are just like you could just tell it feels like someone was using an old camera to film some of this stuff. And it was not like from the camera's point of view. It was just like them actually filming the movie in a really shitty camera. And like the actors are just like, this person's neighbors. Which is it was kind of funny because like I was talking to my girlfriend when we were watching these trailers and like how bad these actors were. And I just was like, this made me really appreciate actors I think are bad in in Hollywood. It just made me realize like they actually are really good compared to these other people I'm seeing on here. Like they are way better. And so I just thought it was very funny. And if you guys ever have some free time and you have nothing to do, definitely watch some trailers on the Prime Video thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that
Prophecy.
you and me can do that sometime. There's this one movie that me and my girlfriend watched. Oh my god, Ben. You know like the CGI of Spawn?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's in every scene. It's like you see these people driving a car. The car is that CGI badly. The background's that CGI badly. It's like everywhere. And there's just it's hysterical. And it has some well-known actors in there too. It makes it even funnier. There's like car chase scenes where guys are just like outside shooting it, and it's just like terrible CGI everywhere. There's not a realistic scene in it at all, except for the guy except for the person themselves. It's the funniest shit ever, and like,
All right.
I gotta show you this shit. I really wish I had this beforehand to show you, just so you can see it on. I think I might do that. You know what? That's what we'll do next podcast. Next podcast, I'm gonna have the trailer for you to watch on the podcast live. Obviously, we'll cut out the sound and you'll just watch it. But I would just love to capture your like just hearing you watch this the first time, because me and my girlfriend literally thought to ourselves, "Holy crap, we're paying this much money for Prime, and this is the shit that they give us." It made us almost feel like maybe we should really unsubscribe from Prime. That's how bad it was. When like the shit they're trying to like give to people, it was just hysterical.
If
It was
you remember to bring it up, then yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, good, because she even said like, you have to show this to Ben. You guys have to talk about this. I'm like, I know, and I just need to find a way to find that movie again because it was just great.
If we do that, I'll have to like describe it as I'm watching it and stuff. But yeah, I'm fine with
Oh
it.
yeah, trust me, it's gonna be. That's gonna be hilarious of you trying to describe this. All right, this is gonna be golden for us. It's gonna be our best podcast ever. You just watching this and trying to describe this to the listeners and everything. I'm just so excited.
All right.
I'm just so pumped.
So I was gonna mention for movies, next weekend, It Chapter 2 is coming out.
Oh, is that next weekend?
Yeah, that's probably my most anticipated movie of the year.
See, I hate going to movie theaters a lot.
What?
And lately, I do. I don't like going to movie theaters. They cost too much, and I do not like sitting with strangers, because every single time I go to a movie theater now, I'm like with the worst fucking people ever. Just the absolute worst, who just... It's just awful. I hate going there. So, like, I've watched every single Avenger movies at home. I just wait until they're out to rent on, like, video rent and just watch them that way. Except for Endgame. I literally bought that digitally off of Google Play to watch that.
Man,
it
I
cost
could
me...
live and die in a movie theater.
No, I hate movie theaters. I hate going there. I just hate dealing with people. I don't like the idea of me paying so much money for a ticket to have to share a giant room just knowing that some asshole is going to be bringing their kids with them or their fucking baby, or there's some fucking young mom trying to be cool with her fucking kids' friends and talking non-fucking stop, or someone just with loud breathing or kicking someone's back of, like someone having a kid, too many kids with them, and one of them's like right next to me kicking the back of the chair where I literally had to tell her, stop doing that. Literally had to scold the kid myself. And the dad just looked at me and said sorry. And like, he actually felt really bad, for me to apologize. I saw him like look like he was gonna beat the shit out of that kid after the movie theater. And it was just like, I just can't stand movie theaters. It's the fucking worst. I hate fucking people. I just don't like going to movie theaters, especially when they cost like $30 a ticket almost. I know they're like only $20, but still, I mean, come on. Even the matinee prices are getting out of control. I mean, sure, they're getting more comfortable, but honestly, they need to start coming up with movie theaters where no kids are allowed. They need those movie theaters now, because people are just shit. No more babies in movie theaters, no more kids in theaters, especially when it's fucking rated a certain age and up. It should be fucking banned. You should be taken out back and shot and then giving your kids to real parents.
I'm just over here
I can't
on my
afford
side.
a babysitter. I can't afford a babysitter. Well, you can't afford a babysitter, but you can afford, 4 fucking tickets to a movie theater? Go fuck yourself. If you can't afford a babysitter, you should be more worried about getting a real fucking job, you dipshit. Maybe you should have thought of that before you had kids. I don't know. Just fucking hate movie theaters. Hate them.
I've just been sitting here over at my desk for the last 5 minutes with a big ass smile on my face, like... I need some popcorn to listen to Mike go off for a while. I was talking about It Chapter 2 coming out, and then Mike is like, let me tell you something about movie theaters.
Because I'm just so excited for It to come out, and I just know I'm going to have to go to the theater for this. I know, I'm just going to have to. And there's going to be some dipshits.
Mike has got some really good triggers.
I went to a movie theater once to watch Mortal Engine, which is a shit movie. But there were these kids sneaking into the theater I was in, and one of them was a kid in crutches, making the most loudest noises coming at the end of the movie, trying to sneak in fucking crutches, making these clackety noises coming up the fucking stairs. I was just like, I'm ready to beat this kid with his crutches here. And the other kids kept on running around in and out of the damn theater. I was just like, and luckily for some reason they just left, because they just realized, oh, this is a shit movie that we just stole into. And it's just, Ben, I just have so much bad experience at movie theaters.
I can tell.
Ugh, I hate it.
You don't say.
Just hate it. I just know that these podcasts are just me ranting 100% of the time.
Yeah. It definitely makes up 20% of the podcast.
Yeah,
I just kind of go into silent mode, put my chair, lean back in my office chair. I'm just I could take a quick smoke break or something.
It
Mike's
feels good
talking
to
about
rant. I do
movie
love
theaters
it.
again.
There he is, talking about just shooting kids and stuff, just so he doesn't just worry about the movie theaters. Man, I just need to look for. Of course, though, one of my coworkers did tell me though that there's a movie theater near me where it's like basically a Disney attraction where the seats actually move. And like if you're in like some type of like fast action movement thing, your seats move. And if she said that she saw The Lion King, so like she said when it was raining, it actually rained in the movie theater. And then when there was like actual fighting, you actually felt like something like hit you in the back, so it felt like you're in the fight yourself. Like it wasn't hard, you said, but it was like kind of like these random pats. So sometimes like a character got hit or something, the chair would actually like push you in your back, so you felt like you were in the fight too.
So you're paying more money to get your clothes wet and get beat up? Cool.
She says they even added smell to it as well, because like every single time like the remember the boar in The Lion King? I forget what his name was. Do you remember? Pumbaa. Every time he was on set, it would like kind of give this small bad, like you'd smell this bad odor when he was on set. I was like, well, that's kind of cool, but I kind of go to the movie theater to chill. You know, it's like if I wanted an attraction like that, but like the ticket was like she said it was only $20 though. I was like, that's kind of impressive to have all that experience and only be $20. But
just sounds like a downgrade to me.
Yeah, I know. I agree too. I don't want any of that. I thought it was really weird too when she said like she watched like Fast and Furious at that theater because apparently there was another one that came out recently, and she's like, yeah, that's such a weird name, by the way.
It's the names of two characters, but yeah. So anyway.
Okay, so she said like in one of the fight scenes, like you see one of the guys get punched and like spit comes out. And she said like she literally felt the thing squirt water on her cheeks, so it looked like you got spat on. I was like, that's not a good experience at all. I don't know why you would want that one. It's like, ooh, I felt like I just got spat on. Oh. Made me laugh when she told me that one. I just like I know you just don't know how to respond to that, do you?
Just the last 5 minutes. It's been interesting because like I say, Mike,
It too.
I said, yeah, Mike, It Too is coming out, and like a normal response would be like, oh, that movie sounds cool, or oh, that movie sounds bad. But you kind of went into like there's like route A, there's route B, and then Mike took route C of let's talk about movies, like let's talk about movie theaters for a while. I was like, okay,
and why I hate them so much.
Just not even gonna comment on It at all, but whatever.
Well, I mean, what is there to say about It? It has amazing kid actors. The first one was fantastic, and even though that the original movie was all one movie, I am actually quite happy that they separated the movies so they can get full details of them as kids and then them as adults. I'm super excited to see this when they're adults, because I'm hoping that it becomes much more scarier things to terrify these characters. What about you?
Well, let me tell you something about movie theaters, Mike.
If you want to get back in there, I can get back in there, because I used to work in a movie theater for
good.
about. I have lots of stories about movie theaters.
I think that.
There's one more movie story thing about.
Oh my god.
I remember once going to the movie theater and I took a seat and I just thought that it was just like a little wet, or I actually didn't even know it was a little wet, and then I found out that the seat I was sitting on was actually covered in piss. Yeah, that was a good time.
Because you went to a scary movie and you pissed yourself.
No, I went to a movie theater that was what was it? Wanted? Yeah, I think it was called Wanted. It was the one where they curved the bullets and stuff.
Yeah,
remember that movie?
Wanted.
Yeah, and so I remember when I first sat in there, I'm like, is it wet? I'm like, I don't think so. Except all the piss seeped on the bottom of the seat, so I didn't realize that until after the movie, and I was like, oh shit, I've just been sitting in piss. And so yeah, movie theaters suck.
It's the moral.
Sorry,
of the
you were
story.
saying?
I'm saying that's all I've got to talk about movies, so we can move on for this week's unofficial sponsors. As I said last week, we don't have official sponsors, so we're just gonna make some up until we get official sponsors. Mike, my unofficial sponsor is gonna be Regal Cinemas. The movie theater. They're let's just say that they're sponsoring us this week, or I'll give them some promotion here, some ad space
Motherfucker.
time. if you want a really
Yeah,
great
right.
movie experience, if you don't want to have a seat covered in piss, you don't want to pay $20 to get, the
Sped on.
smell of a Pumbaa, warthog in your face. If you don't want to get beat the shit up and anything like that, just check out Regal Cinemas, the ultimate movie experience.
Nice.
Mike,
Very
what's your
nice,
sponsor?
Lamps.
Lamps.
Light
All
that
right.
shit up.
I like that you don't specifically give a brand name. Like, you
No,
should
they gotta pay for that shit.
All right.
No,
Also,
I'm
this week-
just saying.
This week is
They gotta
not
pay for that.
sponsored by Squarespace until they specifically decide to give us money, like they have been giving money to
Yeah, if
everyone
you
else.
want to make controversial sites that really pisses everyone off, you should go to Squarespace because
If
they
you're
are
a-
the site to piss people off.
If you're a Nazi, you go to Squarespace. Only Nazis
They
use
love you there.
Squarespace.
It's
Can we
a
get
site to
sued?
be at.
Is that
I
slander?
don't know.
Okay.
That's a good question.
I think it's just opinion, right? Like, okay, my opinion is that Squarespace. No. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on before we say too much.
That's a good question. I had to stop and think about that. I don't know.
Okay,
Well, that's
so
it. It's our opinion. We're not. It's not a fact. It's just in our opinion that Nazis go to Squarespace.
yes.
Squarespace.
Yes.
Just says Squarespace throughout the podcast. Every single time we said something bad, we'll just end with Squarespace.
Yeah. Sponsored by Squarespace. Nazis.
You want to go to the movie theaters? Squarespace.
All right. Our top 5 this week. Mike and I, from the sounds of it, made somewhat different lists, or at least we had different criteria. But the top 5 this week is co-op games. Top 5 co-op games. So, Mike, why don't you give your criteria, and then I'll give the criteria that I made for myself.
Mine
Was there any criteria, or just like best
Well,
co-op?
mine would have to be like co-op players and it just PV versus environment. Like I kind of went more like the PV route, where it's like players against the environment, most like the environment. So it's not really entirely story based. It was mostly just you're the player against like a single type of environment and stuff. Because like you
Okay.
said, the list is fucking endless. If we didn't put some type of ruling on ourselves. So I kind of went with the PVE route, kind of.
Okay. I made 2 criteria for myself. So I actually did games that had more of a story, mainly a story. So I'm cutting out games like Diablo technically has a story, but I don't play Diablo for the story. I play to level up. And then a lot of other games as well, where like their main story, they might have a main story, but then you stick mainly with like a multiplayer mode or something. I didn't add
Right.
those. All of these games on here are story-based games, but then also on top of that, because the list was still like 30 games long of games that I felt like I had to mention in one way or another, I have to make even stronger criteria of saying that I'm going for series of games. So I even though there might be more out there, I've played at least 2 of the games in this series and I liked them. And it is a consistently good co-op game series with a story focus.
Okay, yeah. So we kind of both went 2 different criterias, which is totally fine. I'm very interested to hear I'm actually very excited to hear your list and stuff.
Well, you're going first, so what's your number
am I?
5?
My
Yes.
number 5 is. Are you sure about that?
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, I know. I'm just fucking with you. Number 5 is 7 Days to Die. If you've listened to our prior podcasts, we've destroyed this game. Me and Ben have. And if you don't know what this is, it is a realistic looking version of Minecraft, but with just zombies in it. And the main goal is to survive every night against
And zombie
zombies.
dogs.
Oh, and zombie dogs. Of course, Ben knows about the zombie dogs.
Fucking hate
Bite your
zombie
ass.
dogs. Fucking piece of shit. Let me tell you something
Yeah.
about movie theaters sponsored by Squaresoft.
Squaresoft. You mean Squarespace?
Squaresoft.
And so like after the 7th, on the 7th night, you always get attacked by horde and stuff. The game is survival based. You have to eat, you got to drink water, you got to watch your health and all that stuff. You got to build, equipment by getting materials of wood, rocks, dirt, all that kind of shit. and it was just fun. And I said it was fun, but then they had a massive update where they switched the whole leveling system. It went down to shit.
Yeah, if
But
this game sounds good to you right now, too bad.
Don't bother. Yeah, you're kind of fucked.
Yep, if you
Honestly,
never
I
got a
should-
chance to play it before, then
Yeah.
you are SOL, buddy.
I really shouldn't even have this on my list. It's very sad that this creator went this route. And I think made by one person or maybe more, something like
No,
that.
it's a group. They're called the Fun
a group.
Pimps, and
Yeah.
they changed the game in some really bad ways, and now it's just not fun at all.
Yeah, it just not the leveling system makes no sense to me and Ben. It's like we understand it, but it's just their prior way of how they had experience gain and how to do things was fine. It was perfect for the game. It was unique in its own way, and it was fun. But this new setup they have makes no sense, and it isn't, and I just don't know why they did that at all.
I think
But
it just hurts
we-
the most that the game
Yeah.
functioned and worked before. I mean, it
It
wasn't
just
broken.
had bugs. It just had
Yeah.
bugs they needed to fix, but it was an early access game. I think it's still early access now. And it was one of the few games that I played early access that I didn't care. It was never done because it was fucking fun. I had a blast playing that. Me and Ben spent weeks and weeks playing the game 24/7. I mean, literally, from like daylight to nighttime. And like the only reason why we stopped was because we had to go to work. And as soon as we got off of work, we immediately start playing the game.
Yeah, it's my second most played game of all time. My first game is Dungeon Defenders, but that was like an idle game. I left that on during night. So, with excluding that game, 7 Days to Die is my number one most played game on Steam at 247 hours right now. Like, we lived that game.
It was just a lot of. There was so much fun things to do in that. Like you can make massive structures or like base, or you can make a total massive underground maze base, and like either way, the zombies will get you, which was always cool. It was always funny and cool when they did though, because then you're just in the panic mode and stuff. It was just just very sad where it went to. So it's like that game is officially kind of dead to me and Ben because they made it bad. And that's my
Temporarily.
issue.
Maybe they'll fix it.
Well, see, that's my issue too with a lot of games now. Is like people. I mean, I know the benefits of having games that can be updated anytime to fix them, but then there's also a time like this can happen where it makes it no longer fun for you, and in that point, should you be allowed to get a refund because they switched the gameplay that you bought the game for that reason and enjoyed it, but then they take it away. So, and then since they took it away, should you have the right to get that money back?
That's a fair point, but as long as they still offer everything that they promised, like I remember that Diablo was getting into a lawsuit because they were talking about PvP and having an auction house in number 3, and they never did, and people were saying, you broke your promise. I remember with the PlayStation 3, it had a internet browser, and then it was a Linux internet browser, and then they took the Linux internet browser out because people were pirating straight onto their PlayStation.
I remember that.
And then there was a
Yeah.
lawsuit for that as well because it was a feature on the box. But for this, probably not.
Yeah, it just makes me I do like when games can update because like we were talking about with the Remnant from the Ashes. I cannot wait for the updates for this game. Even though I haven't even gone through the whole game yet, I'm excited for if the creators are still really into this game and they want to add more. I'm excited to see what they add. And this is a game that I already know that if it's like DLC and it costs me a couple of bucks, I'm gonna be buying that DLC. If it's like if they add a whole bunch of shit to it, I'm like, yeah, count me in. I fucking love it already. Give me more. I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that shit. Especially since it's a co-op game. Man, I fucking love co-op games. Ugh, and that's like what we're talking about now. But yeah, 7 Days to Die. Glorious. I kind of feel bad because I didn't say anything that's like I talked more shit about it. But I think that's maybe why I put that on here is to talk about and how sad I am, knowing that it was a real bummer when you and me actually tried playing. We tried playing maybe 2 months ago, or so.
Recently.
Not that long ago. Yeah, recently. And we just maybe did 30 minutes of it, and it was just like, wow, this is no longer fun. They took the fun out. So yeah, but we had so much fun that I wanted to talk about the good times, and that's why it's at number 5. Because man, there were just so many. I know for a fact we've talked about this game before on in our prior podcasts, and it's probably been on my top 5 before. And I just like probably should have put that in my honorable mentions mostly now than instead of on the top 5 list. But
no,
still,
it's fine. I mean, it's not how the game currently is. It's how
it was what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if that was the case, then there would never be any retro games on any of our lists because relatively
True.
to modern gaming, retro doesn't really offer that much. A big part of why retro games are fun is because of nostalgia, but pop in Banjo-Kazooie again, and as fun as that game is, the camera is dog shit. Like, there are a lot of big issues with those old games, but basically nostalgia pushes you through. If you had no nostalgia for those games, then they would almost always be inferior to modern tech. So, it's totally fine, I think, to measure a game by when you played it versus how it currently stands.
Except for World of Warcraft Classic, that came out a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that thing hit just like you even talked on your other channel, your news channel, about how like everyone's just trying to play that fucking game.
Yeah, I was actually going to get into that later.
Oh, that's fine. We'll talk about it later.
All right. I didn't want it to split up our list here. But what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Killing Floor, number 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. So Killing Floor, the series.
Yep, they gotta pay the toll. Ben.
I've listened to a lot of our previous podcasts in the last couple weeks, and you keep bringing that up, and like, you should at least give it context because it's not like it's just you and me talking. We're having.
It's just for you and me, Ben. It's just for you and me.
Our podcast is just going to be made up of inside jokes, so you know everyone's going to really love that. That'll be great.
Well, to give the clarification of Killing Floor, first of all, Killing Floor is just a horde-based game where you fight a horde of zombies for a certain amount of time, certain type of levels, or I guess certain amount of rounds. And then at the end of the round,
waves.
Yeah, waves. At the last wave, you fight a final boss, and then usually the final boss is randomized. But there's like I think usually 3 or 4 types of bosses. I think there's 3. And then you just don't know what boss will meet, but at the end you fight the boss and, you kill him or you die. And if everyone dies, you lose. If someone survives at the end of the round, everyone else comes back, but then they lose all their equipment and all that stuff. And this game is just fucking fun. The first one was great, and the second one was just as good as the first one, where they just added more details to the creatures, to the characters, to the weapons. And they just focused on what they knew what people wanted in the second one, which was awesome, which is more dismemberment. And like they went to town on that with these enemies. Like they basically just made it so you can shoot off every single limb, every single like finger. Is nuts. And like the whole destructible playing field where you can shoot out lights, changing the whole environment and stuff was fucking insane. And one of the things that me and Ben truly enjoyed is always just trying to find a bridge in every level and just hold that bridge. And it was just always a joke between us. Just like, it's like, Ben was like, Michael, these guys are not paying the toll. And I was just like, well, that means they just gotta die. You don't pay the toll, you die, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it was just us screaming at other players because other players be yelling at us like, what are you doing? And we just yelled back. It was like, they gotta pay the toll. Mm-hmm. It was just stupid. It was a small, stupid thing, but it was always hilarious for me and Ben because we'd always just try to survive on these bridges, holding off these hordes and hordes of enemies.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I mean, people, people on our team would see us, off in the distance on this, small bridge, and they'd be like, guys, we're huddling up over in this building, and we're like, no. They gotta pay the money. We need the money. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? And so, as zombies are attracted to us, they would step on the bridge, and then we would be like, no, give us the money. And so then, I remember there was a time where, some of the other guys on our team started to get involved. They're like, yeah, those zombies gotta pay the toll. And we're like, who the fuck you think you are? Give us money. It's like people on our team then had to pay money, and then basically, I think we all ended up killing each other that round because one guy was like, I'm not going to give you my money, and then we shot him dead, and then they killed us.
Yeah.
It was
Good times.
Basically just tried to piss off everyone we could, the people we were played with, the zombies, everyone except maybe even each other a little bit, Mike and I.
Yeah.
But, so that's... Yeah.
Yeah.
We became literal trolls in the game.
Yeah. It was just great, and it just an overall just a fun game for me. It's one of my favorite horror type of gameplay out there. Just a lot of good times in it, and that's my number 4. It's the Killing Floor series, and I also enjoyed it too. Is because Killing Floor 2 only just added more. They didn't take anything away. They just added more of the good stuff to the game. Like, yes, this is what you're supposed to do with a game. You don't take stuff away and try something new. You make the same thing, but even better. Because that's why people are coming back for this game. If they wanted something different, they would buy a different type of game. Which I just don't understand why developers don't think this. It's like, all right, if you're making the same game, make it the same kind of way, but even more details and more stuff in it. If you want to do something new, just make a different game. Don't call it the same game and add a number 2 at the end. But yeah, I'm going to stop there before going another rant.
Yeah,
my
Killing
number
Floor
3
2 definitely had a lot of good improvements on it. The only thing I'm going to say, and then we can move on, is they really improved how many ways that you can, like, eviscerate an enemy and, like, cut them up.
Yeah.
So, if I remember correctly, they made a model of a character, and then depending on where you shot him, like, specifically in just the head, there are, like, 20 or 30 different parts of the head that can rip off and explode. And, like,
Yep.
So, like, he'll be
It's
missing,
awesome.
like, part of his forehead or something, depending on where you shoot him. And that was, like, one of the coolest things. If you have a rocket launcher and you blow up, the guy just turns into, like, 200 pieces. It's great.
You should, if you ever get a chance, watch the documentary of them making Killing Floor 2. And they go into, like, the full details of that. It made me so excited for that game. I was so pumped for when it came out.
I agree.
But,
it's a real cool showcase of the technology put into it. But
And just the effort and all that stuff they put into it. And just knowing what the fans wanted. I'm like, fuck yeah. But my number 3 is, it's kind of funny, is Diablo 3. This was... Everyone knows Diablo 3, so there's nothing to explain about this game. This was my number 1, but I bumped it down to number 3 because there was the whole issue when this game first came out where it was a total fucking shit show. Just an absolute shit show where they just fucked up massively, and it took them forever to come back. And that's why I kind of like, you know what, I'm kind of want to bump this down a bit, especially compared to the other games I played that are on my list. Because, like, my top 3 are pretty close to, right now to me. And, by the way, once again, this is PvE games. So, like, there's other type of co-op games I know that are good, but, like, I'm focusing my list on the PvE. So, like, good PvE games right now, like Diablo 3 is a good one. It beats a lot of other games I played, but damn, they dropped the ball hard. And I'm not, and see, here's the thing though, people listening, I'm not a Diablo fanboy. You know, I joined Diablo 2 in the late stages of that game. Like, Diablo 3 was basically around the corner where I joined, almost. It was, like, basically announced. It was still kind of ways away, but when I joined, I tried Diablo 2. Again, like, I tried it when I first came out, I was younger, but I was too young to fully understand the game, and I would get my shit pushed in. You know, and I was also a younger brother of 3 older brothers, so I never really got a chance to play the game because they would always be playing it instead of me. So I could never really learn the game, and when I found I was actually had my own stuff and played it, it came to a time where it was the meta in that game, I did not care for it, so I was like, okay. So, but when Diablo 3 came out, I was pretty excited, just because, like, all right, I can be the new group, you know, I can, I'll be on everyone's same level now, joining them and, like, understanding as it grew. And I just remember when we all just got, we all stayed up late at night waiting for the game to release and all that stuff and play it right away. And then when we tried playing it, no one can get in. It was awful. It took us a week to even play the game after buying it. And then after we could finally play it, it was not good. The game was just not good at all. It was not fun one bit.
Yeah.
And then
I remember. Sorry, I was gonna say I remember my biggest issue with Diablo is that this game. I mean, we always say, Remnant. Why isn't it more like Diablo, where there's constant loot and constantly trying to upgrade your your items? When Diablo 3 first came out, the biggest issue that everyone had was that the first time that you kill a boss, you get like a sort of good item from him, and then if you go back and you try to beat him again, you don't get a good item anymore. You don't get like a legendary or an epic item anymore. So basically you just had to hope that the first and only time you kill this guy, you get something decent. And for a game that is supposed to relish in its replayability, it basically had zero. Like, if you didn't get something good the first time, there's no chance you're getting something good moving forward. And so it took everything that it had in terms of replayability and threw it out the window. It was a really stupid mechanic that they put in. That was the killer for me.
It was just, everything honestly was bad. And honestly, I think they probably, thinking back about it now, they probably did that for the auction house, so people would be forced to use the auction house to get what they wanted and stuff. And the auction house, if you guys didn't know, because they took it out, is you actually had to pay. You can actually use real money to buy stuff from other people and stuff, and then obviously Diablo Blizzard would get a cut of that money. So thinking about, after you saying that, makes me realize like they did that on purpose to force people towards the auction house. And I'm just like, but they got rid of it. They made adventure mode. They fixed the drops. They made it more reasonable, and they added more difficulties to it, more depth to it, and made it back to a Diablo game, to what it sounds like other people, because once again, I'm not a Diablo 2 guy, I'm not a Diablo 1 guy. I played both of them, but at the time I was too young to fully understand the games and appreciate what they were, and I didn't have enough downtime to play them. So once again, this is a person who just really is a Diablo 3 player and not the second or first one. And even for me, just being a complete new to the genre, it just wasn't good. And man, Ben just told me that they fixed it. I'm like, all right. I had to download DLC. I'm like, well, Ben says it's good. He's the Diablo 2 guy, so I'm gonna give it a go. And man, I'm glad I downloaded that DLC and got into the adventure mode and all that stuff, because that was fucking great. It really turned around to a whole new level, and it became our number one played game and stuff that we played nonstop. Excuse me.
Yeah. I'm glad that you joined me with that. That was fun.
Yeah, I'm really glad too. It was just one of those. It's just, man, when you find a good game that you can play with someone, that's a game that you're gonna remember for a long time and stuff. So it's always nice when you find
this list.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's my number 3 is Diablo 3. Ben, what's your 5 through 3?
Okay, so once again, my criteria is mainly a story game, and there has to be more than one it has to be a series, and I must have played at least more than one, because there were so many games that I just had to go by quality and quantity at this point. So my number 5 is the Rayman series. These games specifically are Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends. So these came out on like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, and they're 2D side-scrollers, but you can play with up to 4 people. And they're a really great game. So basically, you can like mess around with each other, you can interact with each other. If you hit someone, they kind of like fall back, and sometimes you can like purposefully kill them. You don't do any specific damage, but everyone basically has one hit and then they die. So like, if you hit someone and they stumble and like something runs into them or something, like it's basically a death sentence. It's really, really funny.
So it was pretty good.
Yeah. And Rayman Origins, I think, is really like the underdog game. Rayman Legends came out, and it's the more recent one, and it is the only game that I can find on Switch and all these other consoles like modern age, but Rayman Origins is where it's at, man. Like, Rayman Origins was the first one that came out of this like new HD Rayman series, and I would probably say the big difference between the two, a lot of them are generally the same, but in Rayman Legends, basically the second one, they had these levels that were like you just run to the right, and then as you run to the right, a song plays, and it's a popular song, like whoa Black Betty, bam bam, whoa Black Betty, and then like the things that you do in it, you kind of like do motions and hit things and like slide on and you know, like jump from rope to rope and stuff based on the music. It's really cool. But
oh wow,
and that was a cool idea, but it was based off of an idea on Rayman Origins, which was 100 times better. Basically, whenever, so it sounds cool. I wanted to like give it some kind of good impression before I just throw it down into the mud here. So basically, those levels are based off of levels in Rayman Origins, where once you beat a world in Rayman Origins, you would then get a treasure level. So a treasure level is basically if you stop to do anything, you die. There's a treasure that it has eyes and it moves and it's trying to run away from you, and all you have to do is just keep up with it, and it is impossible. It's so freaking hard. And in comparison, these music levels, whoa, Black Betty, bam, like,
Yeah.
you can go slow, you can be like leisurely about it for the most part. There's not a lot on the line usually. It's just like a fun casual level. But these treasure chest ones, you have to keep moving. You have to like try to avoid all this crap, because if you stop, usually there's like lava or thorns or something behind you that the second it hits you, boom, you're dead. So they were like, basically it was like 4 or 5 levels that were after every world that you visited, and it was like the developers saying, okay, what is the hardest level we can possibly make? And then they made that into a treasure level. The coolest thing about Origins, though, is that once you beat everything, once you got all the secret everything that you could in the game, it unlocked a final world, the Undead. And not only was the Undead world the most interesting in terms of, like, the music was really good, the aesthetic was really good, but also every single level was similar to a treasure level, where instead of following a treasure, it was just this constant thorn bush that was always chasing you. And so basically, like, after you played these 5 or 4 levels or whatever of chasing a treasure chest, then you were rewarded with like 3 or 4 extra levels, like secret levels, and those were like hard on top of hard. They were insane. We played those 3 or 4 levels like 100 times for a week straight, for 2 weeks straight, just trying to get that one perfect run that counted and moved us that much more forward onto the next level, or to being the game entirely. But so the Rayman series, such a great series, but if you're gonna play one of them, try to dig up and find Rayman Origins. It probably came out in like 2011 or 2012, and it is the earlier one, but it is the superior one, I promise you.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's a good one. My number 4 is a series that it has been around for a while, Mike, let me tell you. We're talking modern age Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Entertainment System, like NES.
Oh boy.
This series is Double Dragon.
Oh,
So-
Jesus. Oh, my God.
I love
I remember
Double
playing-
Dragon.
I remember being at your grandma's house. We were playing that game.
Yeah. So, exactly. That's one of the reasons why I love this co-op series, is because I kind of grew up with this one. But basically, Double Dragon is a 2-person co-op beat-em-up. I think that the specific kind of title for these games is a beat-em-up, or I think people also refer to it as like a Streets of Rage-esque kind of game. I never played Streets of Rage, so I don't know exactly. But basically, you just like, you're walking down the street, and your character can kick, your character can punch, and then just enemies kind of fill in from the left and right sides of the screen. So this game, on top of being hard as balls, it was also just a really, really, really funny game. Like, the limitations of the NES made the game really funny, where, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Mainly the bosses were the funniest part. So, and the story too. So, not that Double Dragon needs to have a decent story, but the fact that the story was shit was probably what made it great. But like, there's 4 of these games, and I played number 2 and I played number 4. And as confusing as this is, number 4 is actually a spin-off of directly what happened after number 2. So I'm kind of playing them almost in order, but not really. Anyway, so number 2, it starts off, and like, it's immediately after the first one, and the guy's like, my girlfriend died, now I gotta get revenge, and then that's like it. There's like 2 words of dialogue, and then like you're in the street and you're just beating the shit out of everyone that comes across you.
Literally everyone. It's like, even beating women, too. It's freaking hilarious.
It's so funny. I mean, the fact that it's so like, hit 2 buttons, good, you're playing. Like, you don't play those kind of games anymore. It's great. Hit start, enter in your character, go. It's awesome. And The story couldn't be stupider. Like, how many times has, like, the girlfriend trope been played where it's like, I gotta save my girlfriend? Like, the game basically made that trope. It's anyway. So, the combat is pretty basic. One of the funnier things you can do is you can, like, pick up items and you can, like, beat people with things, but then also you can throw things too. Like, one of the funniest things to do, instead of just beating the shit out of people in the street, is to pick up the item, which is a metal pipe, and then you can throw the metal pipe, and it's just this... It's such a simple but hilarious animation where you just see this pipe soaring, and it hits someone, and it just hears, like, boom, boom, like, it knocks someone, and then they just, like, fall to the ground. And, like, it's hard to describe without you being there, but it's pretty satisfying to whip a pipe at someone, and then they just, like, get smacked in the face with it.
Well, it's funny just throwing a pipe at someone. That's straight up what it is. It's fucking hysterical.
Exactly. Another thing about the game are the bosses. So the bosses are really funny. The boss in the first level is just, like, he's almost wearing, like, a gimp suit or something. It's really weird. He's wearing, like, leather pants and, like, these big leather belts, and he's wearing, like, a metal welder's mask, and he does this weird little, like, fingers up to the sky salute thing when he first enters into the map. It's really weird. The next boss that you face is this big muscly Asian man in a helicopter, and occasionally in the helicopter the door will open and, like, it sucks everything out, and if you fall out you lose a life, but if this Asian boss falls out, you just hear it go, like, whoop, and, like, you know, typical, like, NES sounds, and then he just, like, walks out from the front of the helicopter again through, like, the pilot door, and he's like, yeah, come get some. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just funny that the game just, like, keeps going. Like, the boss shows up and immediately, like, falls out of the helicopter, and then he's like, oh, I'm back. Like,
it's like no big deal for him. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? You fall from a helicopter, it's like no big deal.
Exactly.
Don't even lose health.
So along with the game just being, like, funny to play with, I mean, the aesthetic is funny, the combat is, just everything about the game feels kind of funny because they try to maintain this NES style. Even Double Dragon 4, which came out on modern consoles, on the Nintendo Switch, it was released in 2017. Even that game has the NES graphics, and it is the smartest decision they could have made. It is so much fun. But both of the games are just great. They're great to just, like, you know, what do you want to play? And then I'm like, oh, if I've got my Switch, here's a controller. This one's to kick, this one's to punch, let's do it. Like, it's such an easy game that anyone can play. And so that is... And then also I played it at my grandma's house, like, every year for the last 20 years. So that's why Double Dragon is probably my number 4 co-op game. And so now we'll move on to number 3. Number 3 is the new Super Mario Brothers series. So, Mike, are you familiar with New Super Mario Brothers?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so this is a series that came out on the Wii, and then from then on. But basically, it is the 2D side-scroller Mario games, but for modern console.
Oh,
so that's why they call it New Super Mario Brothers. But it's really fun. So once again, it's 4-player, and the games just kind of play and feel like old style Mario games, where, you know, you run across the screen left to right. There's no 3D, nothing like that. But it's just a super fun series. Once again, you kind of like in Rayman, you can, like, kill each other if you're playing it incorrectly, and that is the most fun thing to do in this game. So, basically, in Mario Brothers, you can jump on your teammates' heads, and if you do that, it'll, like, squish them, or, like, it'll stop them from jumping if they're jumping or something. Kind of like how, if you've ever seen that thing where, like, you play Mario World, and then, like, you jump, and then you jump off of Yoshi for a double jump, and then you just, like, sacrifice Yoshi to the pit. Like, that's kind of what happens here is, like, you and the other players jump at the same time, but depending on where you jumped or how high you jumped or low you jumped, like, you'll hit his head and you'll get another jump on top of that, and you'll just send him into the pit. Like, that was the most fun thing to do. And then there's other times too where, like, there will be like an auto-scrolling level with that, it moves left to right and you've got to keep up with the pace. And
you just fuck over the other person completely
basically,
by
yeah.
blocking them.
Yeah. You'll like throw a block at him, or you'll like purposefully like with your character's body like keep him from moving forward, and it's just really, really funny. There's so many ways to mess with people, and I have almost lost some friendships from this game. Let me tell you, I've been playing where, I mean, my last roommate in Montana, when we were living in Montana, Colin, we were playing this game, and every single time, this guy had a short temper. Every single time we played this game, he'd be like, you know what? No, I'm not playing. Like, he would like storm out, he'd put the controller down, he'd be like, don't ever ask me to play this game again. And then like 2 days later, he's like, hey man, you want to play some New Super Mario Bros? And I'd be like, yeah. And then I'd jump on his head and kill him again. He'd be like, fuck this game is stupid.
It's like how you just go back and do it again to him.
Well, of
It's
course.
like maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe Ben will be nice this time. It's like, nope, Ben's still a dick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun part of the game, is killing each other and messing around with each other. Like, he's got this big impression, or he's got this big agenda to, like, finish the level when... Yeah, it's not like it's an arcade. It's not like we're losing a quarter every time we we play. I can kill you as many times as I want. We can just keep playing all day.
Yeah, there is no loss. It's fucking Mario.
Yeah, and once again, it's not like we're like in Diablo. If there was something that I could kill Mike with or something, or in like Remnant, like he could lose out on something. But Mario Brothers, we're not collecting anything. We're not doing anything. It's just get to the end of the level. And so like that was always a big thing. Is just how many people can I kill before I reach that flag at the end? The only thing that they could gain is more extra lives. So
it was basically kill everyone and get to the flag first.
Exactly, and so that was a very fun game. So to go back through those again, my number 5 is the Rayman series, the HD ones, Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends. Number 4 is the Double Dragon series. Double Dragon 2 is on the NES. Double Dragon 4 is on modern consoles, including the Switch. I just kind of, if you want to find it, you can on the Switch. You just got to dig for it for a little bit. And the game is dirt cheap. I think it's like $5 or something. It's so good. Just, I mean, for a game that you can just pop on and play with like your,
yeah,
I'm gonna say like your 5-year-old cousin, or like someone like your girlfriend who doesn't know anything about games. It's just like, this button is punch, this button is kick, have fun, and then that's it.
Yeah,
like it's such a good game just to play in your free time. And then number 3 is New Super Mario Brothers. Just a great series, consistently putting out the same stuff. Mike, if you've heard of Super Mario Maker, it's kind of on that same caliber of like side-scrolling games as well. So yeah, those are my number 5, number 4, number 3. Mike, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is actually, we talked about this game already today, and it's Remnant from the Ashes. It's made it to the 2nd place. That's just
amazing.
It's once again like mine's PvE. It's not just co-op. It's PvE, and it fucking nails it. It's fucking good, and even though I haven't gone through it all the way through, already what I've experienced, it's just it's just one of those games when you play, it's like you have the feeling like, yep, I'm gonna be spending a lot of time in this game. This is one of those games I'm gonna go back to and stuff, and just keep on going at it. It's like, oh, I'm a little bored, and this is a game I just pick up and just do around, and it's just good. I already said so much about it already, but yeah, it's made it to my number 2 list for top 5 PvE game.
That's awesome to hear. I know that you and I have some issues with the game, but it's still good to know that, I mean, I'm happy with that purchase. It sounds like obviously you're happy at that purchase.
Yeah. I'm more ecstatic for this purchase.
I'm glad that you and I can give our critiques, but at the end of the day, it was still a good purchase made. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
been
that
a
you're
rarity.
liking it that much.
Yeah, and that's why I think why I love this game so much is that, which is sad to say this, a lot of games that come out now at times, you just don't know if you're going to get a broken game or not. Even if it's a AAA game, you don't know if it's going to be just completely just does not work or not even fulfill like what it promised. But this game said what it was. You play it and you find out that's exactly what it is, and it's just fucking awesome. And like, just also that massive update they did with all the notes they added to it, so you know exactly what they changed and why they changed it, shows that these people care about this game, which makes and cares about the people who play it, which is makes me love the game even more.
So while we're talking about Remnant again, we may as well bring up this one thing. So Mike and I, we've done a couple more bosses and gaming in Remnant for the last few days. I think Mike is getting mad at me a little bit because from what I can tell, either the bosses just love me so much, or I think Mike probably has a bit more skill at the game than I do, but I've been dying quite a bit more than Mike. Probably.
Well, I mean, in my defense, in your defense, I did die a lot in this lot, the bridge boss. I was the one who kept on dying that one.
Yeah, but I just think it's funny because there was a time, the last time that we were playing two separate bosses, one boss initially, and then we got to another boss later. And for both the bosses, Mike was getting to a point, I mean, I'm summarizing here, but Mike basically was like, just stop dying.
Well, I was salty on that one boss fight where we almost killed him, and you just had to run up to face the boss in the face of him when he was shooting, when his main attack is a fucking flamethrower, and you just go up and die. And I'm just like, I lost my cool a bit. I lost my cool a little bit with that one.
Like, you could see it from both sides. I agree, I was playing a little too close to him. But at the same time, he fucking chases me around. Like, I don't know what you want. If I want to waste all my stamina running away from him, then that's fine. But it's just funny that, like, I don't, once again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it thoroughly. But it was funny to me.
It came to a point when I realized is that I also realized this is that every little time when we face a boss, they always chase Ben. They always like 100%. Every single time they hunt him down. They just chase him down no matter what, and I get chased down by the minions. And like I can't do anything because there's so many minions, but they're not that much of a threat. But I have to stop and kill them because once again, this game is like Dark Souls when every enemy is still a threat. It may be a small one, but they're still a big threat.
The problem with the minions is that if you have more than one minion after you, they will attack you at different times. So, like, if one attacks right after another, you're not going to be able to dodge both of them. So, if
you don't get invulnerability. If you there's like, you don't like, oh, I got hurt, I can't get hurt after a while. It's like, no, you can still keep on getting hurt. And you get staggered by these attacks, too.
Right. If
Sometimes.
3 attack in a row, you can maybe dodge the first one, but then the next 2, second guy's going to hit you, you're going to stagger, and then the third guy's going to hit you. So you really have to watch your minion control. You have to take them out right away.
Yeah.
So I am not saying Mike has the easier job at all. I would say Mike has crowd control, and I've got to
but it is pretty funny to watch me because like I get a chance to like run and dodge these guys, and in the background I see Ben, this tiny little human player, just like fend off this giant fucking monster that is just trying to survive against it, and it just like it's pretty funny to watch. I feel bad, but like Ben says, it's like I had to deal with these guys. But when you're just facing these little enemies and you see like this person, because like this is after like our third boss, I realized that Ben is just being constantly just hounded by these monsters, like the bosses. It's pretty funny. But yeah, there were sometimes I did lose my cool with Ben. Especially the dragon one. I was so mad at you. We're gonna win the first round, and it's like, oh my god! I was like, Ben just runs into it and dies. He's like an inch of health, but I ran out of ammo for my main gun, and I'm being chased by the minions, and so I'm just trying to, with like low stamina, just kill this guy with my weak sidearm that didn't upgrade. I'm like, just die. Just please die. And I just can't kill it.
Yeah, I am not defending myself. I definitely made some stupid mistakes, but it was funny because it's not like I was purposefully trying to. I just made some stupid mistakes, but it's like if you were playing Dark Souls and someone was like, just stop dying. And you're like, oh, really? I should just stop dying? I didn't even think about that. Like, I thought I had to bring it up because that was the impression I was getting as Mike was like...
The funny thing is, too, Ben, is I forgot what you said, but you didn't say that you were going to run up to it and try to take it on. But the way you said it, and I just know who you are, I knew what was going to happen. And just because I knew it was going to happen, I was just so disappointed. As soon as I heard, like, I don't remember what you said. it wasn't because like it wasn't, oh, I'm gonna come get this guy. It was just the way you said it. I think it was like, oh, we got this. And I just knew right when you said that you were going to run up to it. And as soon as I looked over at the boss, I just see your character running up to it. I was like, motherfucker, he's just going to go melee or something. And just try to swing at it. But I just thought it was the funniest shit ever.
I did go melee on him at one point. Yeah.
Motherfucker, I know it. Damn it. I couldn't see because I was far away. I was so far away I couldn't see, but I just see you running up to it like, that motherfucker's doing melee. He's gonna die.
He was aggroed onto you, and so as his body was turned to you, I started smacking him in the back, and like I got 2 hits, and then he turned around, just immediately like one-shotted me, and I was like, okay, that was worth it.
And I just like, I see you just hear, I'm down. I'm like, oh god, no. I think that's what just like, it just said because I just knew it was gonna happen. The way you say it, and I just know who you are, is like Ben's going in for it. He's just going to Leroy Jenkins this one.
I go hard.
I was mad, but I was also I thought that was fucking funny too at the same time.
Because, I gotta say, I'm impressed. After only 10 days, you're ranking it your number 2 best co-op game.
Yeah,
that is
for
impressive,
PvE.
Man.
Best co-op game for PvE. Yeah. And so just like, yeah, it was just damn. Whew. I mean, just thinking about that back though makes me laugh really hard.
No, it was funny. Yeah.
It just like, cause like now, like even though like I was mad then, I just remember just the thought of me just know I'm like, I know that tone of voice in Ben, and just knowing you, like you're just talking about how like you like being an asshole in Mario and just killing other players and just doing something completely outrageous. I just like, I know Ben, I know what's happening, and just turning my camera to see you running towards the dragon. I'm like, oh, no, Ben, no, don't die.
I can cheese a game pretty hard, that's for sure.
It is. Every time you do though, it's always fucking funny. It's worth it.
Well, thanks.
and honestly though, it really shows in Divinity 2. And what pisses me off is that it always works in the end. And I'm always saying it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And somehow we come out winning, which just pisses me off, but makes great fucking stories. But man, especially when you throw Sam in the mix, you two are just the ultimate cheesers. When you two are together, I just know when I play with you two, if any game we're playing, you're just gonna cheese the fuck out of it. I'm like, motherfuckers. And for some reason, putting you together just makes the ultimate cheese, and it works every fucking time. I swear.
Ain't nobody got time for story.
Every boss that we face in any game we play, where I think the odds are stacked against us and we're doing the dumbest thing, it fucking works every time. I'm like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. But yeah. To get back on track, though, for my number 2 is Remnant from the Ashes. It's a game that came out with a promise, and it's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. I think the best thing about it is simply that there wasn't any long wait, there wasn't any high anticipation. It was just, if anything, the most anticipation that anyone's heard from the game is just from me saying, look out for this game, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, I remember that, like, I don't want to get into Fallout 76 again, but the fact that they made a bunch of promises for that game, I think, was the reason why it failed so hard. If they just released it and let people try it out, I think that it wouldn't be liked, but they probably would have let it go a lot more. But
no one would give a fuck.
Yeah, but Remnant from the Ashes, it was just like, it kind of showed up one day. Like, saw it at E3, promptly forgot about it until like a week before it showed up, and then here we are.
Yeah, and I really hope it gets more people. I hope more people find this game and fall in love with it like we did.
Yeah, and I mean, if that inspires them to make like some DLC or something, all the better.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future of this game. Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number 2?
That's a pretty good note. Yeah, my number 2 is the Borderlands series.
Nice, good pick, man. I don't know how I forgot about that, motherfucker. Damn, Borderlands 2, Borderlands games, yeah.
I mean, all of them. Borderlands 1, 2, Borderlands, even the pre-sequel. Like, the pre-sequel wasn't the strongest game, but they didn't fuck it up, basically. They still kept with the same formula, and they had, like, some weird Australian humor in it, but other than that, it was fine. Also, the game was a bit shorter, but otherwise, once again, it was okay. Borderlands has just consistently been a great series.
I look at the other games on my list so far, you know, Rayman, Double Dragon, New Super Mario Bros., and they're all great. They have the consistency from game to game, but I really haven't tried out every single iteration of any of those. You know, Rayman series, there's a bunch of early Rayman games, sure, but there's only two of the Rayman games that came out that I'm considering, you know, HD Rayman, that are on my list. And even with that, the second one felt like a downgrade. Double Dragon series at my number 4, I only played 2 out of the 4 games, so I can't really speak for that. Same thing with New Super Mario Bros. I haven't played the one for the Wii U. Sorry, let me rephrase. I haven't finished the one from the Wii U. So Borderlands is comfortably at number 2 because I've played every single game. If I was going to combine all of the games together, I probably would have put over 400 hours into that series in general. Everything about that game is great. They include a ton of DLC. I might say that the DLC is almost too much to where it gets kind of pricey if you don't buy it all together, like in a special edition or a Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
But the fact is that they do keep making more stuff. You think that you're done with this game? Well, Borderlands 2 had like insane add-ons. They had like a winter. We're not even talking like the full big main DLCs. Like they had a Winterland update where you had to like help some Santa or like some snowman abomination.
Oh yeah.
They had a Thanksgiving add-on where you had to like hunt down a big fucking turkey. They had an Easter egg add-on. Like there was some really cool stuff that they just kept making, and they all came with special weapons and special bosses. Like that is some solid dedication to a series. And I mean, Borderlands 2 probably got the most of it, but Borderlands 1 was still like a game way ahead of its time. The only other game that was giving out that much loot and that much variety in weapons was Diablo at the time. Borderlands pre-sequel, they kept the same formula, but they added a few new things in. They added in plasma weapons and chilling weapons. They added in the gravity, which I would probably say isn't the best thing, but the point is that it didn't break the formula. It was just a small minor tweak. And I really can't complain much about that game. The only thing that I would say is that the bosses are probably, or the enemies in that game are probably the ones that invented the term bullet sponges, because they are notoriously bad for, if you're under-leveled, like, they do one shot and you're dead. Like, they force you to level up, and there's no way you can kill them otherwise. But other than that, I think that series is damn near perfect.
Yeah, damn, I totally agree. And once again, like with Killing Floor, they knew what they were, they knew what the people wanted, and they just kept on cranking it up and made it better and better every time. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Borderlands escaped my memory making this list. It is a fucking fantastic game. I mean, I always laugh when I hear some game critics or game reporters complaining how this new one that's coming out now is like, oh, it's the same thing. I'm like, yeah, it's Borderlands. What did you fucking expect? Why do you want something different? It's a system that works. It's what people like. They want more of it. Why are you saying
it's is that this isn't some Call of Duty franchise. It's not that they're taking the game and making a new iteration every year. You can tell that they're trying to add new things, and there's a really, really tight balance between trying new things but also keeping the same formula. And Call of Duty and all of the like Madden and FIFA games that come out every year, just grab any of them off the shelf and tell me, oh, what FIFA year is this? Is it FIFA 20, FIFA 19? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you specifically.
I guarantee no one would know. If you just had the gameplay only, no one would know. Like, don't show the menu, just play the game. You would not be able to say what version that was at all. Yeah. You would just think you're playing the same thing.
But that's the difference between games that come out too frequently and have not enough different, and then things that come out maybe like too infrequently but have too much different. Like Borderlands sits right in the middle there. It comes out probably
right
like,
in the right spot.
Yeah, like every 4 years. It has a lot of fucking updates per game, but after 4 years or so, they come out with a new iteration, and it's always at least an 8 out of 10 to me, if not like an 8.5 out of 10, which is a
totally great.
Which is a big score for me.
If you like first-person shooter games, you would like Borderlands, hands down. No matter what type of first-person shooter game you would like Borderlands.
Yeah,
it's a game for everyone.
All of the bosses feel, for the most part, unique. All of the characters that you play definitely feel unique.
Oh yeah.
You can focus on elemental damage. You can focus on, melee, which is probably some of the most fun.
Fucking endless, and what you can focus on in that game and how you want to play it.
Yep, and I mean, we had an episode of this podcast talking about the best villains in games. Handsome Jack is like one of the best villains I've ever heard of. I mean, he is a really, really charismatic villain. You can see his point of view. He's not just like some, like, I want to destroy the world kind of guy. Like, he has motives. He has drive. And they were smart enough to keep him around for a while. Honestly, I hope he doesn't come back in Borderlands 3, because they kind of dragged him out now after Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, and Tales from the Borderlands. Now it's like, okay, let's move on to something else. But the point is that they are good enough to make this interesting character, and I really hope that Borderlands 3 holds a candle to what the previous Borderlands titles have been.
Yeah, and like that's another thing too about Borderlands. Even though it's basically just a shooter game, it has a fucking fantastic story. It's a fun story, and something that you always remember too as well.
Yeah, I mean, once again, these are the things that you don't think about. It's like video editing. If it's good, you don't really notice it, but if it's bad, you would definitely notice it. And if you're gonna put 4 people in a first-person shooter game and expect them to pay attention to the story, you are fucking SOL. Like, Mike and I are having a problem with Remnant right now because there's so much of the fucking story that no one fucking cares about. It's like, let's get to the next boss.
We don't give a fuck. Most of the time we're talking to people, it's like, all right, yeah, just gimme it. It's like every time there's an object like gimme, we go with that one. It's like, gimme it. Just, I don't care what you're saying, just gimme it. I know I need it, so just give it. Either give it to me, or tell me how to get you. You give it to me, or I'm gonna kill you. It's basically our story in this game.
Exactly. Give me the key. Give me the red key to put into the red key lock. Like, it doesn't matter, nothing really matters in that game. Go to this place, kill this guy, got it. Borderlands actually was a series that took the story very, very delicately. Like, it had, 5-second cutscenes that would introduce a character, and then right back into it, you're in the game again. And the character might talk a little bit, but it's not like you're stuck in a cutscene, no one can move or anything. And it only had these really, really short cutscenes for just a couple seconds, and then just right back into it. You're into the game. They have the comms, the communication hubs that everyone can hear the story if they want to, or if they want to start running in and gunning things down, they can do that. Like, very smart decisions with the story. Borderlands 2 is probably a 10 out of 10 game for me. I don't say that much, but it probably is.
I'm just sad I forgot about it. It would have been on my list easily. It would have been definitely high up on the list. I don't know. It might have been almost number 1 for me. It's hard to say. It's hard to fucking say with that game. It's... Because, like, the thing is why I haven't played the game in such a long time, but I've destroyed that game, though. On the system, on the PC, I fucking just play that game back and forth nonstop. It's... Damn, that's just a good fucking game.
It is.
Know?
Yeah.
It's been so long time, so that's why I can't wait for this next one to come out, because I'm going to be playing that one too.
Yeah, 2 weeks, man. We got to get our full of Remnants and whatever else we're fucking playing right now, because Borderlands 3 is coming out, and we got to get ready for that.
It's going to be a good year for video games. It's going to be a real good year.
I agree. Mike, what is your number 1?
My number 1, I've talked about it already today too, it is Warframe. And Warframe is just an overall a perfect PvE game out there. Especially for a free-to-play one, too. It's nailed every single system down. It's nailed the looting system. It's nailed down the characters. It's nailed down the enemies, the level designs, adding more things to it. It's adding open world, adding spacecraft flying and fighting, and just fighting in space. It's added fucking snowboarding to the game now. It's added new worlds.
Snowboarding?
Yeah, you can fucking snowboard/skateboard in that fucking game now. It's fucking insane.
Damn, that ninja game is actually starting to sound pretty cool, Mike. You might be swaying me.
It's fucking just blows my mind. It's Remnant from the Ashes on crack, basically. That's what this game is. It's got you loot, you got your scavenging, you got everything. and you just feel like a badass when you play the game. You just cut through enemies. It's just good, and it's easy to play with other players. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely down your alley, Ben, because all it is, you start a level, you just go and kill everything, or just get to a point, do it, and then you get out. That's it. You're in and out really fast with these levels. No one fucks around. When the level begins, everyone lands. Everyone immediately just goes fucking Naruto and just runs. Just fucking runs, jumps, slices through the air. Well, they don't do the stupid Naruto ninja fucking run thing, but they just you just go fucking full speed ninja run and just start dashing through the air, slitting enemies' throats while you're spinning in the air, or just shooting them in the face with a gun while you're spinning in the air, jumping around, wall running, getting to those points as fast as you can, get the objective, kill the enemies, get the check, and just fucking then fly out at the end. It's a lot of fun. There's so many different type of characters you can play as, with each one having very unique abilities. Some are not good, some are fucking awesome, and some are just perfect. It's just overall a good game. It's one of the best free-to-play games I've ever played. It's one of the best PvE games I've ever played, and they just keep on adding things to it. It's the first free-to-play game I ever dropped $60 to $80 on, hands down. It's just insane. It has a steep learning curve when you have no idea what the fuck's going on at first, but as soon as you understand how to get the loot you need to build stuff and where you need to go to get it, it's also when you figure it out, it makes total sense. It's all right, and it even tells you too what levels gives you what materials, exactly what materials you're gonna find in this level. So there's no guessing. It's okay, I need this materials. Find what planet or system or spaceship has this material in it. All right, I'm gonna go straight to that one and I'm gonna play it. And it's always fun. It's always a lot of fun to play it, and that's what brings people back, and that's why it's still being played today. It's still the top 10 on Steam as well. People are just playing this game nonstop. It's good. It's fun. It's great. I talked about this game a lot, and that's all I got to say about it.
All right, we need to make a list of games that you're going to convince me to play for a while. I'm going to convince you to play for a while. You talked about
I think
Eve
Warframe
before.
you like. I think you would like Warframe. Warframe is you would definitely like that game a lot.
Well, I tried it on the Nintendo Switch, but I didn't really like the controls.
You need a mouse and keyboard. You need because you need a fast whipping ability to do it. You can't do it on a controller.
Okay, yeah, that was my one concern. But otherwise, yeah, I could probably download that. It sounds like our plates are going to be pretty full for games for the next couple of weeks.
We're going to be fucking busy. We won't have time to backtrack.
There's
too many good things coming out.
Okay, so Mike, why don't you run through your list one more time? Number 5, number 4, number 3.
Okay, my number 5 was 7 Days to Die. Number 4 is Killing Floor. Number 3 is Diablo 3. Number 2 is Remnant from the Ashes. And number 1, Warframe.
All right. My number 5 was Rayman, the series. My number 4 was Double Dragon series. My number 3 was the new Super Mario Brothers series. My number 2 was the Borderlands series. And then my number 1 is Donkey Kong Country. So
never played that one.
What was that?
I don't think I played that one. That's co-op?
Yeah. So Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, 3, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Okay.
I didn't get all the way through Tropical Freeze, but basically 1, 2, and 3, and from what I played in Tropical Freeze, they're all great. This is a series that I grew up with and I played when I was a kid. I played with my brother, I played with my sister.
Okay, yeah, I played them, yeah. They're fucking great.
So this is one of the first games as a kid that the challenge felt just right.
Still hard as fuck.
They're extremely hard. So this is a series that I have been playing probably on and off for my entire life. Every 2 years, I'll pull it out, I'll dust off the SNES, and I'll, jam in the cartridge, and I'll get going. Recently, though, I bought an emulator. Well, I didn't buy one. I found an emulator on my phone, and I bought a Wi-Fi controller attachment, and I play these games again, and it is it's unbelievable. If you haven't played these games before, go play them. But to play them on the go on your phone with, having buttons and a joystick and everything from a controller, it's so much fun. It's great. But on top of that, an emulator allows you to do quick saves and quick load. So I was actually able to beat all of the games entirely this time around. So Donkey Kong 1, Donkey Kong 2, Donkey Kong 3, I was able to 100% them all. It was one of the biggest accomplishments. I've never been able to previously beat Donkey Kong Country 3. You have to collect a bunch of bullshit. I don't think I ever beat the first one. What's that?
I don't think I ever beaten the first one completely myself. It was just too fucking hard for me.
You know what? The games actually compound. They get harder and harder with every iteration. The third one is just brutal as hell. Basically, Donkey Kong Country 1, at least both of the characters are somewhat good. Donkey Kong Country 3, they give you, like, a retarded person for one of the controls. And I don't mean to be rude about that, but, like, there's one character who's clearly better than the other one. So, anyway, this is a game that I've grown up with. I've played it countless times over and over again, and I've introduced this game. Not that people haven't played Donkey Kong Country, but maybe they haven't played the second or the third one. The second one is probably one of the greatest improvements on a series that anyone's ever played. Donkey Kong Country 1 is good. Donkey Kong Country 2 is unbelievably... I mean...
Wow.
It is so good. The worlds are so much more interesting. Instead of Donkey Kong Country 1, where it's like Snow World, Water World, Forest World, Donkey Kong Country 2, it's like Carnival World, Bee World, like you're in a beehive, you're in like a lava lake swamp kind of area, you're on a pirate ship. Like, there's so many cool, interesting ideas. The graphics are like, not the graphics, but like the 3D animations for the characters are better. The graphics are basically the same, but like everything looks a lot sharper, or maybe like the movements look a bit more crisp. But Donkey Kong Country 2 is a great improvement on Donkey Kong Country 1. And then the third one comes out, and the third one, I would say, is on par with how good Donkey Kong Country 2 looks, but the game is just hard as nails. There's so many secrets. They have an entire area dedicated to just secret area with like a secret boss. Donkey Kong Country 2 also had this, but like there's like a whole other portion of the story that goes along with this, and it's like a really interesting thing. There's like collectibles, and there's all this other stuff that goes into Donkey Kong Country 3. Easily, probably my favorite because it was so underappreciated, but I just think in general, they took this game and they were like, we've done almost everything we can with this series, now let's just ramp up the difficulty as impossible as it can get. And the game is stupid hard. I mean, if I wasn't playing on an emulator with autosave and autoload, I probably would have died 100 times over. Like, the fact that I didn't have to use all of my extra lives every time I died was a lifesaver. But, I mean, this is a great game to play with friends because you kind of do some controller switching off back and forth, but it was also one of the first few games that introduced me to how fun co-op can be. If you think of other games during the SNES series, or during the SNES days, you're typically playing against each other, you know? Like, it's like, you're on one side of the soccer team, or you're on one soccer team, your guy's on the other soccer team. There's, like, Mortal Kombat games where you're fighting each other. Donkey Kong Country was not only a great game, but it was like, no, you two are playing together, you're trying to help each other out, you're trying to accomplish the same goal. It was such a great game. It was so life-changing. I've played the game constantly. I've showed it to a bunch of different people. If you haven't played this game in the last 3 years, try it, because you'd be surprised with how impressive, I guess, the game has matured or aged. It's really easy to get. I guess I was kind of debating if I should condone piracy on our podcast, but fuck it. Snoop Dogg can condone marijuana whenever he is seen on public TV or whatever. So if you need to go and get like an emulator for this game and pirate this game, go get it. It is so worth it. It is great. Get like a Xbox controller, plug it into your desktop and enjoy. Get a phone emulator like I did and get a controller with it. Play the fucking game. It's so good.
Damn.
Love that game.
I just know how hard the game fucking is, and I know I'll never be able to fucking beat it. remember trying going back as a kid playing on the Game Boy. And I still fucking sucked at it. I was like, damn it, fuck this game. It was so frustrating. I mean, it was a good challenge, but man, that game was fucking hard. Especially the fucking, with the cave mine level. Always lost my shit in that level. The fucking Hornets. Hated them.
Like the minecart level, or...
Yeah, the minecart level.
Okay, yeah.
In the first one. And then I had issues with the boat level just because of the Hornets. The Hornets were just the hardest enemies to deal with for me.
Yeah, they were a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah, completely.
So...
But,
our podcast is running kind of long here. I've got a couple honorable mentions, but I'm not going to say anything specific about them. I'm just going to rattle them off. I'm sure that you have some honorable mentions, too.
Yeah, I do.
So, I've got a ton of co-op games, but games that are specifically like you're going through the story, I've got 6. So, running through them really quickly. Mike, you and I played Metal Slug Anthology, which is Metal Slug 1 through 6. That was a
classic
great freaking game. So good. Little Big Planet series. Game. What's that?
Oh, Little Big Planet. I forgot about that game. That's such a good one, too.
Yep, Little Big Planet's really good. I would say the reason it didn't make it on my list is because the game was co-op through the story, but a lot of the fun that I had was through all the custom-made levels, so I kind of nixed it because of that. Next, Resident Evil series. Really good, except that not a lot of the games have been co-op, so only 5 and 6 have been co-op, so that's why it didn't make it onto this list, is because I wouldn't technically call that series a co-op series. Maybe Revelations is. I can't remember. All the spin-off ones, but whatever.
I think maybe. Not 100% sure either.
Yeah. I was going to also honorably mention Remnant from the Ashes. Then also the Trine series, where it's a 3-player side-scroller game. One person plays as a wizard, one person plays as a rogue, one person plays as a knight, and you just kind of like work with each other and solve puzzles. It's a really simple, fun game. And then the last one is Vermintide. Warhammer Vermintide 1 and Vermintide 2. They're just great, simple games, but they didn't bring enough to keep me interested. Once you played through all the levels, there wasn't enough to upgrade or anything, and it just kind of burned out quickly.
Agreed, yeah.
Mike, what are your honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, Minecraft is one. If you don't know what Minecraft is, bravo for not knowing what Minecraft is.
Yeah.
I mean, but shit, it's just where you just build a world with blocks. It's great, it's fun, it's silly, really good, especially when you start throwing mods in it. It's a fantastic game. I've just played it to the fucking ground. There's nothing for me to come back to that game. I've done everything I can ever do in that game. I'm done with it, but it's fantastic. Another good game is Earth Defense Force, where you fight off giant space bugs from destroying the planet, and you're just a simple human character doing it, and it's freaking hysterically funny, and it knows what it is.
I remember you talking about this game.
This
like one actually sounds really cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's like that comical type of old school type of movie with giant bugs kind of storyline to it. It's just like giant bugs are coming, go kill them, and that's it. But they're fucking vicious. It is challenging to play, and you need it's super challenging, and you have to be on your toes to play that game right.
God, what's that movie called? It's like Marine Corps, or like it's the name of the corps, the group, or the force, or something. I can't remember what it's called. The one with the bugs, or like Starship Troopers. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, it's exactly like that. It's pretty much exactly like that, except with just like bugs are just like ants, bees, other stuff too as well you can think of. They also start throwing in robots, like giant robots even, and giant spaceships. It gets fucking crazy. I just need some people to play with because the levels get crazier and crazier.
Please play with me.
Yeah, it's just hysterically funny. It's great. It's because it's not only just bugs. It is like giant fucking robots that are sky troopers tall that shoot laser beams that cut through like 20 buildings in a single go. And that's like cool. Buildings collapse, and bugs climb on these buildings. You have to shoot them and all that stuff. And you have like little AI troops running around screaming, helping you take they're with the Earth Defense Force too. And it's just great what they scream out. And there's you can get giant tanks. You can summon giant robots too to fight the giant robots. You can get missile launchers that shoot 60 missiles out at once that lock onto multiple enemies instantly, just shoot out You can drop nuclear bombs. You basically any silly weapon you can think of, you can use it. It's hysterical. There's like you can get like these mech units where they're like just like taller than a human basically, but it's like a full size mech unit you get inside of, and you get like you carry like these giant Gatling guns, and then you have to like when you shoot them you can like barely move because they're so fucking powerful, and there's a huge kickback, so you have to like hold down like the mouse or the trigger so you don't like lose control of the Gatling guns when you shoot them. It's just hysterically over the top hilarious. One of those games you should definitely give a go. Another one is that I played with Ben, another good friend of ours, Tyler. It's the last one on the list, and that is Hammerwatch. That was a fun little 2D pixel game where you just go through a dungeon just to beat the game and all that stuff, and then you can pick 4 different classes: a warrior, a mage, and then an archer. I think maybe there's just 3.
Well, there was a couple. So there was the knight, the hunter. I was a warlock, and Tyler was a wizard, which were two separate
warlock.
things.
Yeah, that was the warlock, and I was the archer. And that was just a fun game. If you got good friends to play with, definitely a quick game to pick up. It's cheap, fun, and easy to do. Mm-hmm. And then that's my honorable mentions for PvEs.
Right. I wasn't gonna mention. I've got so many. I wasn't gonna mention these, but looking through, maybe I should just say them. So if you're just looking for co-op games, I've got to at least say, look at games like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. The Saints Row series also has co-op during their stories. Really fun. Cuphead is a really fun game to play split screen, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's actually much more fun to play solo, but it is possible. Duke Nukem 64 is a pretty fun game to play multiplayer. Rampage on N64. Rampage 1 and 2 are really fun. The Twisted Metal series. There's so many fucking games. The Baldur's Gate series. Dark Alliance 1. Dark Alliance 2. Time Splitters is a great series to play. These are all games you can play, once again, through story mode. Fear 3. Army of 2. So many freaking games. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
We're going to be here all day.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Pikmin 2, Super Mario Strikers. Okay, that's all of them.
Done?
Yes. Mike, I didn't see any games coming out, unless you did, but no. It Chapter 2 is coming out.
Yeah. Fucking movie theaters.
Yep. Thanks, Squarespace.
Well, do you want to talk about our top 5 before we sign off?
Yes, our top 5 is going to be, for next week, our top 5 is classic 80s arcade games. So we're talking your Pac-Man, your Asteroids, your Dig Dug, all that jazz. No modern games. None of that, Dance Dance Revolution, Volume Mix 14, Super Beat, whatever.
Stupid, all those young kids do. They will fuck themselves.
We're talking old school games. Get your joysticks and your 2 buttons out. So, yeah, 80s arcade games, or just like retro arcade games. Nothing modern. Mike, games I'm going to be playing this week, probably in this order. We're going to go ahead and put Remnant first. Then probably with a 2-way split between Divinity 2 and Slay the Spire, depending on if our friend Sam is going to be available for Divinity 2, and then as a 4th game follow, as a 4th game follower, if none of those come into fruition, I'll be finishing up Fallout 4. What are you playing?
For me, Remnant of the Ashes, obviously, and then trying to finish off. I'll finish Resident Evil 7. I'll get that game out of the way, beat the Madhouse difficulty, and then I don't know after that. Maybe try the old school games I talked about last podcast, like Heroes of Might and Magic 3, or
Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, maybe that. But I might go back into older games I have on it. I've been kind of hankering to go back a little bit lately, and so I might do that. But I'll tell you guys what I do over the week and in our next podcast.
All right, guys. Yep. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.